Hello YouTube, week 7, the meme number, here we go. Yeah, ending the normal classes today. We're nearing the end. We got the angry people, also known as Berserkers today. I guess not all of them are, super angry, but, memes. Chat is saying hello as well. How about that? So yeah, turns out Berserker has even less servants than Assassin does. So this is the least populated normal class in the game. Fun fact as a bonus. We got 36 unless I miscounted for today's list. Again, I shouldn't say this is going to be the shortest one because I said that with Assassin last week and it turns out it wasn't the shortest even though it had the least amount of servants at the time. So who knows how long this list is going to be. It can be a lot of things. I might end up rambling a lot on some servants. Also, near the start, I should again say that thank you for all of you guys that have been watching these. Very cool of you guys. And thank you for all the nice comments. And even I welcome criticism as well, obviously. As long as it's not like very hostile, I welcome other opinions as well. So no worries there. And of course, thank you for the likes. And speaking of which, if you do enjoy these, I might as well ask already. In fact, a lot of people probably already skipped through this part anyway. But if you could do me a favor, just, press the like, and that's it. Easy peasy, right? If you really like these tier lists. It's a lot of work that goes into them, you'd be surprised. So, yeah. But as is usual by now, I have to do the disclaimers fast before we start talking about the servants. Because, again, someone might not watch all of these, and they might just watch one particular class. So obviously, I want to make my disclaimers known here. So, first of all, I am not an expert or anything like that. I have just played the game for like way over 5 years now. I've played JP for over 5 years, NA since launch, so I'd like to say at least I have a good amount of experience playing this game. I've also been making content for years now as well on top of that. And as you can see, every servant as of March 18th, 2022 are included in this. Which also means all the buffs as of today are included in this as well. So everything will be basically up to date and considered and whatnot. So again, for NA this would be like a reference to 2024 March, if you really want to think of it that way. Now, the big one, my main placement criteria for servants to a tier is depending on what they do and how well do I think they do them. Like, let's say someone is a good farmer. I'm probably going to place them based on their farming capabilities over, like, DPSing or supporting. But hey, if someone can do more than one role well, then they're probably going to get bonus points because, hey, that makes them way more flexible, which is cool. Obviously free support picks are also considered, so I want to be a bit more realistic, obviously, with like I'm not gonna assume everyone always has everything, but still, to be a bit more lenient here, I suppose. Different rarities are not directly compared, so let's say a 4-star and a 2-star end up on the same tier while both are like single target DPSs. That does not mean they might be equal, okay? Because I see a lot of people still like, oh, how can you rate these two the same tier? They're night and day. Yeah, they probably are. Because, I didn't want to make separate lists inside all these classes as well. We would have ended up with like 50 lists if that was the case, so deal with it. So it's not really good Civ to compare rarities, is what I'm saying. Obviously, sometimes a lower rarity can actually do a better job than someone of an equivalent role in a higher rarity. So if that is the case, then obviously it's going to look good for the lower stars. But yeah, try not to compare different rarities too much, because it's just bad Civ and kind of unfair in a lot of cases. Obviously, having said that, comparisons will be made within their rarities, though, to their peers. Like, let's say we have 2 single target 5-star Berserkers, they will definitely see comparisons between them, and it will affect the ranking, the placement, if you will, a little bit. MP1 assumed across the board here for non-golden welfares. Okay. Keep that in mind. Again, I want to be a bit more realistic here. So I'm not, you know, some people might have like their MP5 level 120s, gold foes and everything. All of that makes a difference, so yeah. And if it wasn't obvious, this is a pure gameplay tier list, not a favorites one. Obviously there's many servants in here that I really like as well, but I'm gonna try my best to be as unbiased as possible in doing my placements. And if you are watching this later on YouTube, there will be timestamps, chapters, whatever you want to call them, in the video, so, you know, feel free to jump around if you only want to see some servants. I don't blame you if you're not going to watch this entire thing. It will be long no matter what, so yeah, use those if you want. And before you leave an angry comment, always make sure to check at the very end where it says final rankings, I think is what I title it, or placements, maybe it's placements, in case, so because we might shift some stuff at the end, so not every placement immediately is going to be finals, so, you know, check that before commenting anything, I guess. So there you go. I think that's it for the disclaimers. Again, I have to do that every time for all these lists. You'll be hearing it next week too, most likely. Speaking of next week, it's the extra stuff, but I still don't know if it's going to be one big list or like spread into two or something, so to be decided, I guess, but you will see everyone eventually, so don't worry about it. Right. Oof, that was a doozy. Intro done. So, Haas, thanks for gifting Night Moon a sub as well. Much appreciated. So we're... Oh yeah, I didn't mention it, but this was on disclaimers as well. I just skipped over it, I guess. But the order is obviously rarities, like... First 1 to 5 stars, so we go from the lowest rarities to the highest, and then order within the rarities is from oldest to the latest, so it should be pretty obvious looking at these, but yeah, that was the one thing I didn't mention. Having said that, we're obviously going to start with the 1 stars, and in fact, Berserkers have 3 of them, 2 being day 1 servants. So let's just immediately start by talking about ya boy, Mr. Oppression is Bad, Spartacus. AoE Buster Farmer for sure. Can do DPS if you really want to, I guess, but he's definitely more of a farmer than he is a DPS. So let me grab my numbers here. Even for the lower stars, I feel like it's always fun to cover these. Oh yeah, speaking of numbers, I probably won't be talking too much about the MP gain or star generation today, because it's kind of redundant for Berserkers, as most of them have bottom tier numbers for both of them. But obviously in some cases where it may, let's say a Berserker actually has like a decent MP gain, I will probably try to remember to mention that. But in today's list in particular, I probably won't be talking too much about the MP gain and star generation, because, you know, we can just assume that for a lot of them it's not really worth talking about too much. But yeah, the actual number for HP and attack, what do we got? 5k attack is definitely on the lower side, even for a 1 star, but obviously the spread will not be that big as the higher rarities. But it is actually on the low side. Have to note though that Berserker as a class though obviously has a pretty good attack modifier at 1.1x, so that's at least helpful. So even if some of these attacks might not be high, some of them will be really high, you know, it's not the end of the world, because, you know, they already get a bit of bonus just from the class modifier being one of the better ones in the game. So what do we got? AoE Buster MP, triple Buster deck. We'll be seeing this a lot today for sure. It is, everyone knows it, it's the classic Berserker deck. The good old gorilla deck, whatever you want to call it. So obviously day 1 numbers as well, so very few hit counts across the board in all of his cards. So again, forget the gains, forget everything. The deck is, it's just a basic Berserker thingy here. There's not much to say anything up here about Spartacus. Now let's take a look at the skills. The first skill, gotta love these early buffs, man. You just gotta love these useless buffs. Now someone is going to mold it. It's not useless. It's nearly triple the number. It's useless. It's a useless buff. So what does he get? He heals himself every turn for 5 turns above to 1500 after the buff on a stupidly long 7-turn cooldown. Granted, the uptime is 5 turns, but with that being the only effect, this is just a straight up an E+ skill at best. It's not good. Especially with his numbers at 7.7k HP. Base, unless you have like a grailed one, gold fold one, he's not gonna live for too long anyway. But again, this is pretty relevant for his best case use, which is farming. But yeah, it's just a terrible skill. Second skill, one-time guts. 5 turns with a 7-turn cooldown, so it's the standard. Sadly does not scale with HP, so it's a flat out 1 HP guts, but also does come with a 30% battery. Now this is vital. This is vital because this certainly improves his performance, because this makes his farming a bit more lenient, and this also means that in this day and age, 2022 that is, he is able to do buster farming. Believe it or not, he can actually do it. It's a bit demanding, of course, but it helps that he himself is obviously a free unit for everyone, so that's something worth noting here. He can do it because of this battery right here. Now, then he has a mana burst, basically, that loses a bit of the buster buff in exchange for a heal of 1 time, and also a higher cooldown. So again, not a good skill, just not a good skill, but you know what, it'll make one of his MPs in the farming hit a bit harder. But yeah, it's literally a worse mana burst in most cases, and mana burst already is just not a great skill in this day and age. So man, does his kit feel lackluster in 2022. Luckily he's a farmer. This is great though, just a flat out Madness Enhancement EX though. That's a nice damage boost to most of his stuff. I guess appends are kind of worth mentioning in all of these, but a lot of the Berserkers actually don't have a damage bonus, but rather a crit chance resistant, or crit resistance thingy, so interesting. If you ever want to bring him against Riders, I guess he can have a pretty good chunk of crit resistance. Up to 30%, so it's like a Berserker unique gimmick. Can't say it's very useful for him in particular though, but for some of the DPSs, this might actually end up being pretty useful. Now the MP has been buffed, which is good, because again, with 1-star stats, it's not like he hits very hard. Obviously it's still an early buff, so the only thing they did was increase the damage modifier and increase the heal on the OC. So man, does this boy heal a lot, but I feel like most of the time, even if you want to use him as a DPS, the heal is just kind of useless. He's either going to be full HP or like dead most of the time on a serious boss battle. Whew. But yeah, at least it has a damage upgrade. Spartacus, despite being very lackluster in his kit and whatnot, he can still farm. And this, because of the fact that he can buster farm, he's actually legit. How funny is that, right? How funny is that? You might not think he's all that great, but he's actually a very viable option. He's like at least an A, maybe even an A+, honestly, just because of how accessible he is. His damage is on the low side, so I can't really put him in EX like, let's say, Arash, who has did a different use case. But yeah, he's very much a very viable option for buster farming. As much as you want to deny it, you can inhale that copium. He's very legit. People denying this have never tried him as a buster farmer. You would know he's a viable option. Not the best one. Is like 90+ is still an easy thing to do with him? No, absolutely not. But for most stuff in the game, he works. He just works. And being a 1-star, he's literally as accessible as they come, which is also bonus points. Easiest choice in a lot of things. Also, cheap party cost means you can bring more bonuses to your party, which sometimes matters for farming. So there you go. Spartacus. Great. Because of the way he works. I love to see people already molding about this, and I will not I will not change my opinion. He's at least an A. I could maybe even say an A+, honestly. People saying he's below this, you never tried him, okay? You're probably NA players that have never tried buster farming, okay? It is what it is. Someday you will try, and then you will realize he's a legit option for farming. Anyway, another day 1-star. We got Asterios. A tragedy, if you ask me. I still don't know what caused them to make Minotaur a 1-star servant. It's just a bit weird, because he's definitely not supposed to be a 1-star servant. But oh well. Here he is. So what is he really? That's the tough question. Not as easy to answer as Spartacus, I suppose. I want to say he's a really, really niche soloer, a pretty bad DPS, or a debuffer for some setups. It's weird, man. He has definitely like use cases, but most of them are kind of meme, I'm not gonna lie. It's not like there's anything super serious that like, oh, this is like perfect, I'm gonna pick Asterios for this, right? So Yeah, but let's see. Attack is actually, unlike Spartacus, considerably higher, so it's very high for a 1-star in fact, for what it's worth, at 6k. Same deck again, the good old Buster, you know, monkey mode. Notably, his MP is arts though. It's like a supporting MP, and it is an arts type MP, so I guess that's worth noting here as well. Skills. Okay, at least he has one of the better versions of the basic monster strength, because this one is a 3-turn buff. We've seen 2-turn ones, we've seen even 1-turn ones, but at least his is 3 turns, right? So it's still a 30% attack buff on a 5-turn cooldown. Very basic, but it could be worse, I guess. Just very basic. Now, second skill, offensive debuff resistance for 3 turns, which does scale up to 100%, obviously. But I just prefer it was full-on debuff res. But at least, hey, the other effect is really good. A guaranteed 40% up to 40% defense for 3 turns and a 5-turn cooldown. That is really good, actually. So the second effect at least is very noteworthy here. That is a big uptime and chunk of defense up, which can actually help even with these 1-star stats if you really need him to stay alive for whatever reason. And the third skill, it's like his DPS skill. Good old 5-turn, 1-turn effect, 5-turn cooldown, 1-turn effect. So what does he get? So much absorb that he will at least be able to guarantee himself the stars for the turn, which is cool. And a 30% buster up as well. Pray for a full buster brave chain, I guess, if you really want to DPS with him. Not the easiest thing, but yeah. Yeah, I guess Shirena, that's worth mentioning that, because he does have the, what do they call again? Yeah, animal characteristics trait servant. So, yeah, I guess paired with Koyan Dark, he does have a little bit more potential, but I don't think he's really still that big of a legit option, all things considered. But it does help him a little bit. Has a Madness Enhancement B, which again, nice to have, of course. And then the MP has been buffed, so it's actually pretty cool. So what do you get? First of all, a 6-turn, 20% AoE attack down. Actually not bad. And then for 1 turn, you get another 40% attack down and 40% defense down as well. And the OC, so I wish this started at 20% like the MP5, but it doesn't. So, but it's also a 6-turn defense down at 10% base. So a base MP is gonna be minus 50 or 60% attack for 1 turn, and a minus 50% defense for 1 turn, and then a bit of lingering effect as well. But it's still not like a really great MP. It's mainly good for like funny setups if you want to go for like bigger 1-turn damage, if you really need like a bigger defense down if you're lacking that, which there's a lot of option for that nowadays as well. But yeah, oof. If a skill says defense up or down, doesn't mean the manipulated of attack numbers. There's no... yes, that's exactly what it means, Gaboon, yes. It's like... Well, it doesn't manipulate the attack. Like, let's say you're gonna get hit by a 5k damaging hit. Then you have 50% defense up. That means it's just gonna be 2500. It's as simple as that, really. So, it doesn't really manipulate an attack number. It manipulates the damage number, right? So that's kind of how that works, right? Anyway, this is one of the, believe it or not, Asterios is actually one of the harder ones to place in this entire list, I would say. I really don't know what to think of him. I've never really had a great grasp on him. I've actually used him myself, mostly for setups way back when, but I feel like he's just very replaceable in every sense of the word. He can do many things, but he's never going to be like amazing in any of them. I feel like I'm just gonna place him in C+, honestly, which is around the average. Like, just because he's obviously a free MP5 at being a 1-star, and he has many roles he can do, but he's never gonna be that good in any of them. It is what it is. Maybe so. I saw some people saying B, but I think I'm just gonna drop him on C+. Yeah. We need an SSR version of Minotaur, if anything. Please, Lasagna. This is unfair to him, okay? We need the lore accurate version. Right, and then the last 1-star. Not a day 1 servant, in fact, pretty far from it. Paul Bunyan. AoE Buster. I honestly don't know if I want to call her a farmer or a DPS or like even a pseudo support. Because she definitely does not farm as well as Spartacus does. Not really even close, because she obviously lacks the battery, sadly. Which means she can't even do Buster farming. But you obviously could still slot her in for some kind of a farm setup, but it wouldn't be like an optimal farm setup, I suppose. But anyway, at least, again, same as Asterios, the attack is pretty high compared to Spartacus, so she has that going for her. The same old, maybe ever so tiny bit better gains, but again, it's just not really noteworthy. Because you only have 2 cards that even do any kind of generation to begin with. So, the skills. First of all, speaking of supporting, I guess, AoE Buster up and crit damage up 20% each on a 3-turn effect, 6-turn cooldown. It's not great, but it's not terrible either. I feel like it's kind of fair for a 1-star, I suppose. You can't really expect miracles from them, so it's okay. There could be a lot worse, I suppose. Bit of utility that helps her as well. Now this one though, it's just an AoE up to 2k heal on a 5-turn cooldown. So this is just straight up weak. Just weak. Not a great skill. And then the third skill is an AoE defense down 3 turns up to 20%. And also, why not an AoE up to 50% minus healing received on the enemy for 5 turns on a 6-turn cooldown. So hey, if you ever need AoE healing reduction on a good uptime, you know, pick Bunyan. Can't say I've seen many challenge quests or any quest in particular that where healing reduction would be very relevant, but you know, if you ever need it, there's a pretty good option, I guess. Otherwise, the skill is just okay. Isn't, again, not really great, but it's just okay. I wish her passive of the Madness Enhancement was higher though, because that is a very sad low rank, but you know, something. Great chance resistance against assassins, huh? Then the MP is like the basic of the basics. No buff, just a free MP5, a solid stomp, literally a stomp, and a defense down 5 turns, 10% based on the OC after damage. Basic, just so basic. Not much to say about it. She's still very accessible, obviously, but she's not Spartacus, is what it is. She might have a bit more use outside of farming though, but even then, she's obviously not ever gonna be like a great pick, if anything. I feel like I'm gonna place her in like B, honestly? I think some people want to see her higher, but in this day and age, there's just so many options. I just don't really see her having like... You might not have that many reasons to really ever pick her. Shout out for having a fast MP though, by the way. So if you ever want, you know, I see a fast MP, this is probably the fastest in the entire game, as far as I remember. Especially now that Arash's got animation updated, but yeah. I just can't really place her too much higher. She's just alright, just above average, I would say. There you go, Paul Bunyan. Alright, we already got Grand Berserker. Wow, that was fast. Last belt 7, who? Alright, back to day what? He was always here. Caligula, the first of the 2 stars. Now, what I will say that he's definitely a single target DPS. That's what he is. He could have a bit of use in stalling with his MP, I suppose. But, no. Definitely a DPS. I would know. I've used him quite a bit. Anyway, 2-star stats is actually another high attack stat. That'll be the theme for a lot of these. Like, Berserkers tend to have attack on the higher side because, you know, YOLO. So an average of 6k or so would be normal. And he has a 6.8 and with an already good class modifier. So that's a very good attack for a 2-star nonetheless. The usual same deck, but obviously it makes sense because you want him to click red as much as possible to do the best damage he can. I wish his MP was honestly Buster as well, despite not doing damage. We've seen that's not a problem, because obviously some servants have a Buster MP that don't do damage anyway. I wish his was one of those, but oh well. But yeah, very standard, but good attack for a 2-star. Now, getting to the skills. Self-attack up 3 turns on a 5-turn cooldown. So this is just a worse version of the Asterios skill, basically, because this also comes with the demerit of defense down by 10% for 3 turns on self. But he's one of those servants that, unless his Imperial Privilege defense is up, he probably dies to 1 hit anyway. But honestly, with IP up, he can actually tank 1 or 2 hits. Trust me. But yeah, so this in a lot of cases might not be that big of a relevancy for the demerit, but sometimes it might be annoying. But yeah, it's just an okay skill. But what's good about it is, like, he just has full-on offense in his kit, I suppose. Hey, Lina, thanks for the 4-month sub. Welcome back to the Go Gang. So yeah, speaking of IP, there it is. Rank A, so you get the 40% attack and defense if you land it. Sadly, he can't really guarantee it outside of command codes or, you know, external help. But yeah, good buffs if you land them. Very good. And the heal sometimes might be relevant even, again, because he might not always die to 1 hit. So again, potential is EX, but sometimes it's a D+ skill. Fun skill. Then the 3rd skill is a his own version of Mana Burst. It does have a demerit of dealing damage to self, but honestly it's a much better Mana Burst in my opinion, because the cooldown is 2 turns lower, and that's definitely worth. This demerit is hardly anything, and from this you get a -2 turn cooldown. It's actually a fairly legit skill, especially in this day with, you know, a certain buster support that can also reduce your cooldowns. This man can actually put some legit damage if you get the correct cards. Even without crits, kinda. You'd be surprised. Obviously, you'd prefer him to crit, but that's not really happening reliably. But you'd be surprised how decent damage he can do with buster hits when everything just aligns. But not always everything aligns, so... Anyway, Mana Enhancement A+ is very nice. You want that to be as high as possible, obviously, because all of his damage is from his buster cards. Crit or damage resistance against sabers, I suppose, if you really want to bring him there. And then the MP actually has been buffed, so it actually was really good for stalling, even though he obviously doesn't want to stall because he's very vulnerable. But you have a 150% chance to do a 3-turn AoE skill seal, and a sadly only a base 70% chance to MPCO, but 3 turns as well. Like, isn't that kind of nuts? And then the buff added a very nice defense down 30% for 3 turns. Actually not bad at all. So, it's an interesting MP, actually. It's actually not a bad MP, granted you land the MP seal. Because that's major crippling for the enemy. How about that? He's actually not bad. Obviously, he's not like top tier or anything, as much as, you know, memes are funny, but I feel like Caligula should be like B+, honestly. Maybe even A, honestly, but I feel like I'm just gonna start with B+. He's actually pretty legit, but sometimes he just dies pretty fast, so not the most reliable DPS there is. But I feel like slightly underrated. He's fine. Let's get an SSR Caligula as well. Why not? Oof. Right. Then we got everyone's favorite, the most well-known servant in the game. Everyone talks about it all the time. He's so famous. Eric Bloodaxe. AoE Buster DPS, I guess? Sure. We'll call him that. Right? Yeah. So, what is his attack like? It's not as good as Caligula, sadly, but it is above average for a 2-star and even better with the Berserker class modifier. So, at least Eric Chan has that going for him, I guess. His deck is the good old. Numbers are the good old day one, so not much to say about there, meaning MP gain is horrible and star gain generation even worse. Now, the skills. Single target enemy attack down, 2 turns, 15%. Those are some really random numbers. And then defense down, 2 turns, 30% on a 5-turn cooldown. Not a terrible skill, but man, some of these values are kind of weird. 15%, 2 turns? What? It's just so weird, man. Like they don't really do this at all anymore. I believe the latest 2-turn stuff they ever did was Kintoki's MP buff, right? Which we'll actually see later today. But as far as I remember, there hasn't been any like 2-turn gimmicks besides that for a very long time. It's just a weird number. I mean, obviously it's preferable to 1 turn, but the values would be different if this was a 1-turn thingy. The buff, yeah, it did increase the defense down, I guess, but that's what it did. Then the second skill is a basic Guts. Sadly has not been buffed yet. They've been buffing a lot of Guts skills. We'll actually see more Gutses today as well that haven't been buffed yet. But yeah, he has one of them as well. And it's even worse than average, because normally a 7-turn cooldown Guts is a 1-time 5-turn one, but his is a 1-time 4-turn one, which again, weird numbers. Just weird. So it's a below average basic Guts. Doesn't sound too good, does it? No. And then the third skill, another unique skill, it's his version of Disengage, which honestly... Disengage has a 5-turn cooldown though, so I do prefer max HP up over healing in most cases, but would I trade it for a slightly higher number and +1 cooldown? Probably not, and that's saying even after Disengage not being a great skill to begin with, so... Yeah, that's a small yikes moment, I would say. But he's trying, you know. This is just not a great kid in this day and age, not by any means. This is nice. Wish it was a higher, obviously, but, you know, it's pretty alright at B on the buster up. Crit chance resistance against casters. The bane of the casters. Now the MP then. Sadly never has seen a buff, so it's a basic damaging MP. Has a demerit of 1k damage to himself, but he does increase his own attack 30% based on the OC for 1 turn before damage, so... Yeah. The MP can do okay damage, but that's it. He doesn't really do much at all. Anywhere. He's just... What is he? What is this man? Does anyone know what his purpose in life is? Like, I really don't see a reason you would like ever pick Eric. There's so many low star AoE buster berserkers. Oh, is the stream dying? Oh, it's back, I think. There was a small... Oh, wait. It's still red. Okay, I think it's back. Okay. I won't place him in E, but I will give him a plus. I suppose. There you go. That's where Eric is. That's where he's at. He's an option, but not a good one, and that's it. And you have way more options that you probably should pick every time over Eric, so... Yeah. There you go. How funny. Alright, then we get the next and the final 2-star, but also not a day 1 servant. And a very interesting one in Salome. How about that? If he isn't E, no servant is E, then maybe no servant is E. Just because a bottom tier exists, like the you know, like, here's the thing, right? Just okay, it's the same the opposite way as well, right? Let's say someone is the best farmer of this particular class. That does not mean I'm gonna automatically put them to the EX tier, right? No. So it's the same in the opposite, if that makes sense. I hope it does, because I don't really want to elaborate too much on that. Anyway, Booba, yeah, back to this. Single target arts DPS, I guess, but also in an interesting setup servant, I guess you could call her that. I'm not really going to talk about too much about the dot meta though, the dot meme, but you know, it's a thing she can participate in as well. But yeah, I guess first and foremost, a setup single target arts DPS. Another really weird case is what she is. Anyway, attack on the high side for a 2-star, so that's a good start. In fact, maybe you'd prefer it to be lower because you kind of need her to live in case you want the max value out of her, so maybe you'd actually prefer her HP to be higher. Oh well. Now, she's the first one to break the meta of this list, not the first in release order, obviously, but she has double arts, double buster in her deck, which means that her gains are not as terrible as most other Berserkers. Definitely not great, I would say, not amazing by any means, but, you know, at least she has a little bit of stuff going for her, and because of the double arts, she actually is capable of a full arch chain if your stars align correctly, which, again, good. It's good. It's always nice to be able to do that on a DPS. You always want a match chain. That's the dream. The matching card type MP Brave chain, right? Not everyone in this list will be able to do that, sadly, which I'm not a big fan of, but yeah, she can do it, so there you go. A bit of bonus. Now the skills then. Self-attack up 20%, 3 turns on a 5-turn cooldown, so just below the monstrous strength for 3 turns we saw, but she also increases her own damage against lawful good for up to 50% for 3 turns. Now, this is not as good as it seems, because sadly, this is one of those things where they did not give her separate modifiers. This means that you will not get this damage bonus unless the enemy is both lawful and good. One of them doesn't matter. One of them isn't enough. She needs both to get this damage bonus, so it does really limit it quite a bit more. Granted, if someone is lawful, the other side of the alignment probably is good most of the time, but not always. Not always, so it does limit it a little bit. I wish it was a separate modifier though, but whatever. If it works, it's a pretty good skill though, but if it doesn't, it's slightly underwhelming. Now, second skill, self-debuff immune 1 time 3 turns, self-defense up to 20% 3 turns, and self-invul 1 attack 3 turns and a 5-turn cooldown. Actually not a bad defensive skill. It's actually alright. And this order is actually really important. I believe this is the order you get the buffs in. The order is really important because of the third skill. So this is the real Salome gimmick here, right? Ooh, I love this skill, but man, is it unreliable and kind of hard to pull off a lot of the times. So she heals herself by up to 1k every turn for 7 turns, which, you know, cute. Now, she gets a thing like a debuff for 7 turns that removes 1 latest defensive buff from her every turn for 7 turns. So again, the order is important here. If this is the only defensive skill she has, the invul will get taken off first, which is kind of annoying. But obviously, if you have supports, you can play around with this a bit more. And you should definitely use supports with her if you're gonna use her. Yeah, definitely. So you can plan ahead a little bit, but she's gonna be shredding those defensive buffs pretty fast. But so, because with that horrible demerit, what do you get then? Well, after 7 turns, you're a millionaire. Your entire party gets up to full 100% MP gauge plus. If you manage to keep her alive for that, including herself, everyone on the front line gets that. And it's a 7-turn cooldown, so you can go again immediately if you want. Fun fact, I guess. So yeah, this is like one of the biggest risk for reward thingies in the game. Is it worth it though? Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of the times it's really not, but I actually like the gimmick though, because it's very unique. It's a fun one. Maybe not the best one, but it's a fun one. Madness Assessment C-. It's definitely low side, but because she has an Arts MP and a double buster deck, it's not the biggest deal in her case, so whatever. If anything, it would be cool if she had like territory creation somehow. Ruler damage bonus, or rather crit's resistance, is actually not bad, because Berserker is always a legit choice against rulers. Obviously not as good as, let's say, Avengers, but a Berserker is a legit choice against rulers, so not a bad append, I would say. And then the MP. Single target damage, curse 1k for 5 turns, and also the curse amplifier for 5 turns. The MP itself kind of sucks, I'm not gonna lie. Again, I've seen people do kind of a dot meme, but those are never really, you know, like super legit. It's like a meme is what it is. It's a possible meme, but like you'd have a way easier time doing things differently, so I don't really ever consider them to be super legit. So the MP kind of is whatever. It's not that great. But if she does have this active, she can actually do decent damage for sure. If not, not the best damage out there. But, you know, chances are you're not running her as the solo DPS anyway, because, you know, you have this as well. I mean, it's good for your supports as well, but would be nice for another Berserker ally maybe as well, because they have a hard time getting MP gauge a lot of the times. Yeah, Salome. What an interesting case. This is, again, one of the hardest ones to place in this list as well. Who'd think of some of the low stars would cause the most trouble here? C plus or B, maybe? One of these, I think. Just because she's very risky, and sometimes, you know, the reward might not be worth it anyway. Grant, also, keep in mind, when this happens, it's gonna happen. So sometimes it might be a bad timing. Like, let's say you already have your MPs, like 2 of your 3 servants already have an MP good to go. Sometimes it might just be wasted mostly. So it's not always like max value. So that's also something to consider, right? So sometimes it might not be, you can't really control it. It's a timer and then it just goes off. Maybe C+. I'm not, she's just so, like, you have to invest a lot to even keep her alive reliably. And is it worth it at the end of the day? Maybe not. Honestly, maybe not. I feel like I'm just gonna keep her here. Many people said B, but yeah, she might not be worth the risk for the reward, because you have to invest a lot into her to keep her alive in the battle. Otherwise, you might just get killed by a random crit because she has like no guts or whatever. There you go. She's worse than Eric? I wouldn't say so. That's a bit mean, man. She's a fun option. If this was a fun list, she would probably be like A+ at least, honestly. But sadly, this is not a fun list. Alright. Now we move on to the 3 stars. Starting with Another Day Would Serve It. The man, the myth, the legend, Loobster. Oh baby. So what is he? A single target buster DPS, and man, let's just talk about that attack for a second. 8.1k is ridiculously high for a 3-star, and also even better because he's a Berserker, so that's really good. That's an insane, it's probably, from what I remember, maybe still top 3 among 3 stars. But yeah, Salieri probably has number 1 if I remember correctly, but yes, this is a very, very high attack stat for a 3-star servant, which really helps. He has the basic deck again, so again, his gains are dog shit, but hey, at least he can do some bit of slapping with his face cards. So then the skills. Attack up 3 turns, 27%, funny numbers, and then mental debuff resistance, 36%, 3 turns, 5-turn cooldown. It's an okay skill, not great, but it's just okay. Weird numbers though, man, these day 1 game design choices, I don't understand. I guess it has to do with the rank, but still. They don't do this nowadays anymore, even with ranks. It's weird. Now, the second skill, self-defense up 25% for 3 turns on a 5-turn cooldown is just alright, but then the demerit as well makes it, in my opinion, kinda below average defensive skill. So yeah, for 3 turns, you have a 50%, you know, buff success rate. For offensive buffs, so if you're using him solo, better use this first skill before the second skill, or you're just gonna coin flip your attack buff, which is no good. How about that? Not a very great defensive skill, needless to say. And then another unique skill, we got the third one, self MP damage, 1 turn, 30%. I wish it was a little bit higher, but you know, it's nice to have mixed buffs anyway. And then absorb up 3000% for 1 turn. So you know what? At least he can have that 1 okay crit turn. But also reduces your allies' defense by 20% for 1 turn, which is not very nice of him, okay? That's pretty toxic if you ask me. So in this day and age, this is not a great kit. It's not great, but it could be worse, I suppose, but it's just not that great. Now, Madness Enhancement A is a very nice one to have. I wish it was higher, but this is already a very nice number, so there you go, that's great. Rider, crit resistance, sure. And then the MP ignores defense and does a shit ton of damage, even without a buff, you'd be surprised. Sadly, the OC is only a 30% base chance to stun, so don't count on that, because it's very unreliable, but it's actually a very, very, very hard-hitting MP, due to the fact that he already has 2 mixed buffs on his own kit to help the MP damage, and he has one of the highest attack stats for a 3-star servant. It hits real hard. Bam. I still feel like he's a pretty good all-rounder. Mostly good for like newer accounts. When your account gets older, you probably won't really be using him too much anymore, honestly. You can if you want, but he's a very fun servant and a great option for newer accounts, honestly. He hits hard. Sometimes a bit hard to keep alive, but hits pretty damn hard, man. You will need supports with him though, definitely. Feel like he's at least a B+. Maybe an A, honestly. Very accessible. He just works. Maybe an A, honestly. Yeah. I think he's an A. He works. He just works. Not the best for endgame, but he's a very flexible DPS, so there you go. The Loobster. Good deeps. There's not that many 3-stars for Berserkers, actually, but here's the next one. Another day one servant. Mr. Angry Mammoths. Darius III. AoE Buster. I want to say DPS more than a farmer. Yeah, I guess you could do farm, but I think he's way better as a DPS, especially after the buff to one of the skills. Brings a bit more utility as well. So, attack 7.6k, not as high as Loopster, but still pretty damn high for a 3-star on top of the Berserker modifier is very nice. Gains, forget about it, even with the triple hitter arts, forget about it. Just a standard deck, which, you know, I guess is good for damage, but not for the gains. Now, skills, Golden Rule B. Now, this is the worst placed Golden Rule in the entire game. You hate to see it. This really doesn't do much for him. It's just so awkward. Like, man, it's a lore thing for sure, but he has the least value of all the Golden Rule servants for this skill by a mile. It's so bad on him. It's just so bad on him. Yikes, just please buff it to do something else so that he can actually get use out of it. Now, disengage. Hate to see it, but there it is. It's something. I prefer a better defensive skill, to be honest, but, you know, it's not the worst I've ever seen. It's just a basic thing. The good old cleanse and heal on top. And then the third skill, they did buff his guts, so now it's actually a really good skill. So a 1-time guts, 5 turns on a 6-turn cooldown is already better than average, because as you can see, the cooldown did come down from the usual 7 as well. And they added AoE Buster resistance down 20% for 3 turns on all enemies. Great skill. It's good. Very good. Unlike the rest of his skills, this is actually now very nice. Not bad at all. Madness is MB. I wish it was higher because he's full on red, but oh well. Rider crit resistance. Then the MP has been buffed though, which is cool because it actually does a decent chunk of damage. He didn't used to have anything to help with his damage, but now he has this at least, so it goes pretty okay in hand with the MP, the buffed MP. But it's one of those good old year 1 buffs, right? So they did nothing else. Nothing else. No new normal effects, no changes to the OC values or new OC, nothing. It's just a damage buff, so that's kind of sad. Base 10% attack and defense down on AoE for 3 turns is not the worst. I wish it was before damage, but oh well. At least the damage is alright. Ban whoever requested this song. I was not gonna comment about this. It's fucking Jax. I'm skipping this myself. I'm not listening to that shit, dude. I told you yesterday already. Alright, don't worry about that if you're watching this on YouTube, because you won't be hearing that. Thank God. The one song you don't want to hear. Alright, Darius placement. One of the Bs? He might be worth a B+. Maybe a B though. I'm not sure if I can still do a B+, even with the buff. I'm not sure. Maybe just a B. Yeah. Maybe just a B. I do like that they did buff him. With a good buff finally. Because the MP buff was not the best obviously, so... Yeah. I feel like B is pretty fair for Darius. He's an okay choice. Right, 2 more 3 stars remain. Next, the final of the day ones. We got Kiyo. Oh boy. If this was a waifu list, this would be the fastest E I've ever seen. But luckily for her, this is not a waifu list. Not that she's gonna rank super high, spoiler, but, you know, is better than an E, I guess. So, what do we got? AoE, Buster, and again, much like Darius, I wanna say DPS rather than Farmer. You can do both, I suppose, but I think she is a bit more... She sees a bit more use as a DPS, I suppose. Attack, it's actually pretty bad compared to the other ones, sadly. So she's like the... You know, compared to Darius and Lubu, she's like really sad on attack. Even with the Berserker modifier, it's still below average for a 3-star. Unfortunate. Same old with the deck. You're like, oh my god, 2.03% MP gain? That's nuts. Yeah. Not with this, though. That's still dog poop. Okay. Anyway. Skills. First one has been buffed. Yay for morph buffs. Yay for the worst one of them all. So yeah, this is easily the worst buffed morph in the game. It's just so bad. It's so bad. I hate this buff so much. So it's a 3-turn defense up for 30%, which I don't hate, but, you know, it kind of was there already, just a slightly higher number. And then, oh, baby, burn amplifier 5 turns AoE. Oh, baby, how useless is that? You hate to see it, man. You absolutely hate to see it. Sure, it has 100% uptime, but you hate to see it. I don't care, you just hate to see it. What a terrible buff. It's definitely a lore buff, but sadly for her, her lore is about dots. And still, 6+ years later, dots suck, so sucks to suck, Kiyo. Second skill, single target defense down 3 turns up to 24%. Hooray for awkward numbers yet again. 5-turn cooldown, but man, is that demerit sometimes really scary. The enemy, the target, gets 20% attack up for 3 turns. That can actually scale really crazy. Oh my god, let's not. That is actually a really bad demerit sometimes. Oh god. It's just a straight up worst torture technique. And torture technique in this day and age is just okay at best as well. Man, does she have bad skills though. And then the third skill, it's her version of Mana Burst, but you trade 20% Buster up for a buff cleanse. I'm not sure if that's worth, because she's not really going to be alive for too long anyway, right? I'd rather just, you know, her do a big hit and then maybe die afterwards. Wow, and let's be real. This is not a good kit. It's a very not great kit. But hey, at least she has this full-on highest rank of madness enhancement. That's good. That's really damn good, because she has the MP at Buster and full-on Buster decks. So at least this one, very nice. Lancer crit resistance, hooray. MP also, unlike Darius, has not been buffed, so the damage is not as good. I guess she could have a better MP damage with if she like has everything up here, like these two, maybe? Hard to say after Darius got the Buster rest down, but... Yeah, 50% chance to stun on base, OC, and burn for 10 turns. If the day ever comes when like dots will be legit, she's gonna be a bit better, but man. I guess worth noting that because her dot is burn, she does have a bit more value with Honey Lake as the seed that increases damage against burn targets, but because she has really good uptime on this shit. But even, that's like the only thing she has going for her, basically. So compared to like Darius, I feel like she's like right here, like a full 1 point, maybe 1.5 tiers is too much of a difference, but at least a full tier down, I would say. Yeah, I feel like this is kind of fair. This might be too harsh, or is it? I don't know. Even after those buffs, she's still pretty bad, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, and because you have the options that are also free, yeah, because remember, the comparison weighs pretty heavily on low stars, because a lot of them, a lot of them are just free MP5s, so I feel like because of that, I can probably slide her down to D+, as savage as it is, but yeah, you have all these other options that you can probably use over her instead. You're being nice? Yeah, I am. And you're being a dick, because I've seen your comments, Anastasia Simp FGO. You need to calm your titties, because you're being very toxic in the chat. I've seen you write some questionable shit already. You're definitely not regular of mine, even though some of them tend to be toxic as well. So you need to calm those titties, okay? Before I'm gonna tell Ahmad to slap your nuts. Okay? Calm your tits. Alright. Let's move on to the last 3-star. And it's a cool one, actually. Definitely not day one. Alright. We got Mori. A limited 3-star, sadly. I wish he was permanent, but oh well. Single target buster DPS. Now there will be a lot of comparisons here between Lubu, because they are actually very similar in a lot of ways. But anyway, what do we got for numbers? 7.7k attack. Not as high as Lubu, but still very, very good for a 3-star, needless to say. Not a big difference. He actually has a double arts, double buster deck, which means his gains are a bit better. Still nothing crazy, obviously, but you know, not dog poop maybe, like most of the berserkers we've seen so far. Interesting choice. And at least he can still do a full buster brave chain with an MP if, you know, your cards align correctly, I suppose. Is he the only insane servant? Is there more? Oh, there's more. There's more insane alignments for sure. We'll be seeing more today as well. So yeah, not bad here, I would say. Better than day one stuff. So, self-crit damage, 3 turns, up to 100%. That's pretty fat. That's like Emiya right there. Sadly, it won't be as consistent of a critter as Emiya, but, you know, that's a lot of crit damage for 3 turns. And then debuff resistance up. You don't even have to level it to get 100% debuff resistance for 3 turns, which is also very cool, actually. I like that. But man, does it come with a hefty demerit, though. This is a big one. So, buff success rate up 100% minus for 3 turns. So, not just like, remember Lubu who had 50% offensive one? This is 100%, and this is for every buff. So, man, that is, that's an ouch. There are ways to play around it, of course, but this sometimes can be real nasty, okay? It's a pretty big demerit, I would say. One of the biggest of skill demerits I've ever seen in this entire game. Hey, Jord, thanks for gifting Jackie a sub. Much appreciated. Alright, second skill. Self on activate attack buff. So, for 3 attack, 3 turns. So, what do you get? Well, when you attack, you get up to 15% attack up for 3 turns. So, you can get 15% attack up 3 turns by 3 times with this. One brave chain does it all. That's all you need. Well, not even a brave chain, honestly. I mean, it would be a brave chain at that point, but that would be 4 attacks. But yeah, there you go. But also comes with the demerit. So when attacking, you reduce your defense as well by 10% for 3 turns. So, oof. It's definitely the definition of a double-edged sword, right? Yeah. Interesting. It's an okay skill, I would say. This demerit is not as heavy as the first one, but still, it's there for sure. And then the third skill. So, self-absorb up 5k 1 turn. Sadly on a 5-turn cooldown. So even though he obviously has a really good crit buff on a 3-turn uptime, his absorb is only on a 1-turn uptime, which I don't like. Obviously, if you bring a good party, you can kind of make up for it, but it's still going to require a lot of effort to get more use out of this buff for 3 turns. Or this crit damage buff, rather. I really wish this was 3 turns. He would be so amazing. But, you know, at least he has absorb, which is still alright. And then if he dies in the next 3 turns, you get 20 stars. So, you know, because he seems to wants to die, then, you know, I guess he will give you a gift if he actually does die. If it's still up, because, you know, it doesn't actually cover the full duration of the cooldown. But does cover most of it on max rank. yeah, the kits are very similar to Lubu, right? I would still say I like Mori's kit more though, even with this, because the annoying part is it's also treated as buffs. You can't even cleanse this shit, which is really annoying. There is something worth noting here, right? Because this is 100% buff success rate down, right? So Mystic Code buffs will still land on him, because as far as I remember, every Mystic Code buff is always a 500% base, right? So at least that is a thing you can still do with this active, even if you can't really play around this easily. So that's something worth noting. You can actually give him like a dodge if needed. Now, Madness MD, I wish was higher. That's sadly a very low rank, but oh well. Avenger, crit resistance, interesting. And then the MP. This combo, I love it so much. Not that many servants have it, but it's so good. Ignore invul, ignore defense. Ain't no one, you know, getting away from this MP. It's such a great normal effect combo. So damn good. And then defense down, 3 turns, 10% base after damage. Yeah, not a bad MP by any means. But obviously it's never been buffed and he's a limited 3-star, so I can't really realistically just assume like an MP5. It would be kind of unfair. For those of you that have, much like me, have rolled for MP5s on these limited 3-stars, you know it can be very difficult as well, so it's not super fair maybe. Now, obviously the biggest comparison is Lubu, but he's at least on the same tier, if not just a bit higher. But I'm not sure if I can justify higher because of the MP5 not being free. If he was MP5, I think I would place him here. But I think I might just place them next to each other because Lubu is a free MP5, whereas he is not by any means. In fact, he's even worse than a story locked. He's limited, not even story locked. So, yeah. That's why I think I'm gonna place them in the same tier. But hey, both are great, and if you do happen to have both at level 70 and both are MP5, I would probably just, you know, say Mori is just better. But yeah, he has really good damage potential. Also works really well with the, like, shout out to, like, Koyan Light is gonna be amazing with him, right? Gonna solve the, help a lot with the absorb only being a 1-turn thing, right? Because he sure loves his crits anyway, so that's a great fucking combo as well. Really good. In fact, that's probably his best support. With Merlin, maybe. Yeah. There you go. Mori is good, though. Alright, that's it for the low stars. And now we go back to day 1, because we're gonna start with 4 stars. And man, what a start do we have. Oh, this is something I was doing a lot of, like, you know, thinking yesterday, and this was one I was thinking a lot. So here we go. We got Mr. Hercules, Heracles, whatever you want to call him, doesn't matter. Single target buster god, I guess. Solo legend, the best anchor in the game, whatever you want to call him. Now, first of all, can we just look at his attack? 10.6k. Not only is that ridiculously higher than the average for an SR, again, he's a Berserker, so it's even better because the modifier is 1.1x. That is a ridiculous attack for a 4-star. Ridiculous. He obviously still has the red deck, but it's completely perfect for his purpose, so there you go. Gains obviously suck, but hey, that's fine. It's not like his MP is the best part about him anyway. If anything, it might be the worst part about him, but yeah. So much like Loopster, he has this same skill, but he has a higher rank, so the numbers are a bit better, which is cool, I guess. It's still just an alright skill, I would say. Nothing crazy. Just an okay DPS skill. Second skill, self-evasion up 1 turn on a 6-turn cooldown. Good old Mind's Eye false, so it's the standard. But it's great that he has this, because again, he has so many defensive things in his kit now, so he's gonna be very sturdy. He's not gonna be falling down anytime soon, so this is just another extra turn you can buy in most cases, which is great. The crit damage in most cases, unless you're soloing, is just completely irrelevant. It's just bad. But hey, 1 extra turn is 1 extra turn. Then the third skill. I have no idea why they did this, but man is this buff good. Wow, so his guts got buffed, yes. So it's still a 1-time 5-turn guts on a 7-turn cooldown, but they made it stackable. This is huge. Sure, this is a great thing as well, but literally this one parenthesis word, this is the big part about this buff. It truly is. Because this means, because obviously, in most cases, you're going to run him with the Bonsi, right? And in case you don't know, if you've been living on a rock, you don't know what it is. I already went past it. Where is it? There is Bonsi. He gets a 3-time guts with no duration. Yeah, 3-time guts. And before this was buffed, if you had the CE equipped, this would whiff. You would not be able to use the skill until you lost your 3 stacks of guts, making it really awkward. Sure, it's still an extra turn on top of those 3 turns in this as well, but now you could pop this turn 1 if you wanted to, and you'd still be fine, because it actually stacks with the guts you get from your Bonsi, or any CE, or any guts you get from your allies as well. Man, is that good. And then, as a bonus, because why the fuck not, if your guts gets procced in... Like, keep in mind, it says it's an on guts activate buff. This is also ridiculous. I originally thought this only works on this skill, but no, it's literally any guts gets procced on him, he gets 20% buster up for 5 turns. Any guts. You can stack this pretty high depending on the scenario. Oh my god. How stupid is that, right? How stupid is that? It's ridiculous. Like, he was already a great anchor. Now he's the best anchor in the game, bar none. No one is even close to his levels. Oh my god. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. I wish this was a bit higher, but you know what? I don't think he's going to be short on buster buffs for his best use case, I would say. So I'm not too mad about that. Passive being on the lower side. Divinity A+, hey, the first of these. More tickle is nice. Saber crit chance bonus, why not? Might as well be anyone. Now the worst part about his kit is the MP. It's so basic, it's just not great. But, you know, most people don't care about this anyway. He's still gonna be, like, his best case scenario is your party's anchor. The last slot in your party, doing solo and being alive for many turns. You're gonna be hitting full red chains every turn anyway for a lot of damage. So the MP barely, it's not really that big of a highlight, honestly. It doesn't do amazing damage, although if you do get a lot of these stacks, it will do really good damage as well. So despite not being very great on base, it has a good potential for damage as well. And yeah, shout out to 15 hits. Even though Berserkers have a garbage star generation base, with 15 hits on a buster, you can still get a handful of stars from this for sure. So, you know, that's cool, I guess. Defense down 10%. 3 turns after damage is whatever, though. It's just whatever, right? Oh yeah, obviously, it's worth noting the first defense skill is really good on an anchor, so because he's gonna be extra attacking most turns. He's gonna be doing his work, right? So an extra 50% extra damage on a like, okay, here's to put into perspective again, right? A lot of people don't even know this, but if you do a brave chain, and the brave chain is consisting of the same card type, it doesn't matter which one it is. Like, let's say a full arch chain, full quick chain, full buster chain, it actually makes the extra hit extra hard, no pun intended there. So already by using a BBB brave chain on him, it does a shit ton of damage with that extra. This is another 50% on top of that, meaning his extra hits insanely freaking hard. Like, insanely hard. On top of the massive attack he has on a 4-star with the Berserker modifier. It's ridiculous. Now, I did think about this a lot. He was always going to be at least an EX. But hear me out here, right? Hear me out here, right? I'll be explaining this a little bit now. Let's see. Oh, it's the same color. There we go. He's going to be here. Because here's the thing. He's not always EX+. Like on a normal team comp, definitely not. Absolutely not. Soloer, he's still alright, but as an anchor, he's the best in the game. Not even close, easily the best in the game. And the fact that he's a Berserker is very easy to put into any team, and you can put him as the final member of all of your challenge quest teams, unless you're fighting foreigners. But even then, if you need to survive, he's still fine. But like, just, it's invaluable. His role as an anchor, no one does it as well as he does. Oh yeah, I guess in case some people don't know turn. Anchor he's gonna be the last slot in your party, basically slot number 6. When everyone else dies, he comes in, he's gonna survive for God knows how many fucking turns and do ridiculous damage to probably just finish off the fight with ease. So yeah, that's an Anchor. And he's the best Anchor in the game, bar none. So again, some people can disagree with this, Stefan. I did think about this a lot, believe you me. But I feel like an Anchor is a very, common thing for a challenge quest. You can put him in most of them. So I feel like it's well worth being recognized as the best Anchor in the game. So I will be placing him in EX Plus because of that. So there you go. Invaluable. Makes every challenge quest party, well, 99% of challenge quest parties just straight up better. There you go. Ridiculous. So that was the first 4-star. What a start. Obviously not all of these will be as crazy, but man, yeah, that was the first one. Another day 1. We got to Lancelot, Berserker, the OG, not even the Saber version, just the Berserker one from Fate Zero, I guess. So, what is he? A quick, AoE quick, and I want to say farmer. He can do DPS as well, but I feel like he's way better in farming. Not that he's amazing in either. He's definitely very workable in farming for sure, but he's not like he's broken tier in this day and age or anything like that. Now, much like Herc, he also has a very high attack for a 4-star. Not quite as high, but still very, very high. So that's cool. Now, if you were to use him as a DPS, I'm not the biggest fan of his deck, because remember what I said earlier, for every DPS I would prefer if they had the possibility of being able to do a full card type Brave Chain with their MP. He could not do that because he has a quick MP and only one quick card in his deck. So he still has the normal Gorilla deck with a quick MP, which we'll be seeing more of these as well later as well, which I think is kind of a shame for DPS purposes. But hey, if it wasn't for this, he wouldn't be farming in the first place anyway, I guess. So, you lose something, you gain something else. But yeah, gains are obviously horrible. They're trash, just absolute trash. But even with the Berserker star generation, obviously with his MP having so many hits, he's still going to generate a lot of stars with the MP at least. So that's worth noting. Now, the skills. Good old Lancelot has to have this, so 6,000% absorb for 3 turns in a 5-turn cooldown. That's good uptime, so actually you could use him as a crit DPS if you really wanted to. I wouldn't recommend it too much though, but it's a thing, I guess. So the second skill, I don't like this though. It's a self 30% star generation for 3 turns and a 5-turn cooldown. Sure, it helps with the MP, but doesn't really do much. It's not good. This is a trash kill. It's a trash kill to begin with, but it's even more trash on him. Just doesn't even do that much for the MP either, honestly. Bad. And then the third skill, MP gain up to 100% for 1 turn, which really is the only reason his Scotty farming is, doable at all. Otherwise, you probably need a plug suit. So yeah, there's that for, easy refund on that 1 MP, I guess. And then to go with the first skill, you do actually have a nice chunk of 50% crit damage for 3 turns and a 5-turn cooldown. So again, he actually has pretty decent uptime for the tools that a crit DPS Berserker would need. But that's it. Look how basic this is. And he has no defensive skills either, so I still don't think he's that great of a DPS option. Magic Resist, well, at least he has it, I guess, so it's a bonus. And this one, low rank as well, sadly. It would be kind of nice to have it higher because it would make the crits even juicier, but whatever. Crit resistance against Berserkers. This is one of the only cases where Berserker actually has a bad append. Berserkers are the worst against Berserkers. You would not bring him against Berserkers. It just doesn't make any sense. In case you don't know what I'm talking about, every normal class, and well, not it's most extra classes as well, besides it'll do 2.0x damage against Berserker, and they take 1.5x. versus Berserkers who still take the same 1.5x on defense but only do 1.5x on damage. So why the fuck would you ever pick a Berserker against a Berserker where you could pick literally anything else and do better by proxy of just the, you know, how the class affinity works? So it's just like most of these passives are fine because you can kind of bring Berserkers against anything. But this is just bad because you would not bring him against Berserkers. Weird. MP hasn't been buffed, no other normal effect, just, you know, decent damage. Not amazing, but decent. And then before damage, a base 10% attack up for 3 turns on the OC. It's alright. Helps with some of the Scotty farming a little bit, because his damage is not always that great, especially have lower MP levels. So yeah, I think I will be placing him as a farmer, but in this day and age, I don't think he's that shining anymore, honestly. I think one of the Bs, honestly. What do you guys think? I'm not sure. Can I even put him on A? I don't think so. I'm not sure if I can put him on A now. Even if he can Scotty farm. He's not that great, honestly. We have so many options nowadays. I feel like I just want to drop him in B. Even if he can do Scotty looping. Okay, fair. Okay, I'll place him in B+. Okay. I would kind of feel dirty if I didn't, but I can't really place him in A anymore. There you go. Right, more day 1 stuff. Tamamo Cat. Oh boy. So, AoE quick DPS. Not a farmer, definitely not a farmer, but a DPS. So, much like Lancelot, she has the really weird combination of having an AoE quick MP with the normal gorilla deck, which again, I don't like. I don't like that. And she doesn't even have the option of farming, so it's even more awkward for her because her primary positioning is on DPSing. And unlike Lancelot, man, is that a step down. That's such a step down in the attack category as well. You hate to see it. Both Herc and Lancelot were so massive on attack. So that's already quite a bit worse. In fact, it's just below average for a Berserker. Maybe around the average, or for a 4-star, because she is a Berserker, so it gets a small bonus. So not a great start. Don't really like this stuff, what I'm seeing here, sadly. Considering that the MP is quick, AoE that is, so not a great start. Indeed, Jord. Alright, self-attack up 2 turns. She has the, you know, the mid version of Monster Strength. It's not the 1-turn version, but, you know, like even the good version of Monster Strength, the 3-turn one, is not good anyway. So this is okay at best. But even then, I would say definitely below average for an offensive skill. Yikes, could use a buff. Second skill has been buffed though, and the third one as well, right? So what do we got? I hate the fact that they did not increase the drain chance. Why would they not? I hate it. 60% chance to drain on max rank. That sucks. That just blows dick. But hey, they did add a one-time invul for 5 turns, I guess. Helps a little bit. She is... I should note at this point that the one thing she does really well, I suppose, is survival. For among a lot of these 4-stars. Definitely not like Herc levels or anything like that, but she can still stay alive relatively well, I suppose. But yeah, this should have been buffed to 100% as well. There was no reason not to buff this. It just doesn't make any sense. Now, third skill also buffed, so it's her morph. So unlike Kyo, this one makes way more sense. So they didn't touch the defense up, which is fine. It was already alright for 3 turns, 27%. But now, 2k max HP for 3 turns, ain't too bad, good uptime. And self-debuff immune for 1 turn. This is very important if you know what her MP does. Very important, because if you don't have something like this, the MP is a massive yikes. Also, just now noticed, Dark Ferox, thanks for the 8-month sub. Welcome back to the Gale Gang. Madness Enhancement C. Wish it was higher, but oh well. Alter Ego crit chance resistance. Alright. Or crit resistance. And then the MP actually has been buffed, so it does actually pretty alright damage. But yeah, this demerit, huh? Self-stun for 2 turns. That is a yikes. At least she got this to occasionally deal with it herself. Someone else can help too, but yeah, that's a big ass demerit right there. But hey, the OC is actually not bad. For 3 turns, she heals herself base 3k every turn. So again, with all of this defense up, max HP up, invul hits, healing combined, she can actually stay alive fairly well. So that is, again, probably the best thing she does in her entire existence. So I still don't think she's an amazing DPS though, because she has no crit potential whatsoever. She can't do a nice, like an ideal perfect Brave Chain card type with her MP either. And she can realistically, a lot of the time she only MPs well every 5 turns, unless you specifically cripple your support lineup to, you know, deal with this better, this demerit, which would be annoying. So, I don't know. Yeah, there is the command code that helps as well for sure. I want to say a B. I'm not even sure if I can even do a B plus, honestly. Just a B. She's okay. You can definitely use her to DPS here and there, but that's kind of as far as I would place her, honestly. This was another one I was actually really, I was doing discussion with people yesterday. This was another heated topic, Tamamo Cat that is, and I still can't put myself to move her anywhere higher than a B, so yeah. But you know what? You could always do a lot worse than Tamamo Cat, I suppose. Right, moving away from day 1 again, and a very similar case actually. We got Fran, Berserker, AoE quick DPS, but also she can actually farm. It's not pretty, but unlike Tamamo Cat, she can actually do loop farming. It is possible, but it's not pretty, I'll tell you that much. Now, attack is a bit higher than Tamamo Cat at least, so that's cool. It's higher than an average for 4-star, very nice. Gains are obviously garbage. And the deck, for a DPS, it's bad, but for farming, it's kind of irrelevant, I suppose. But yeah, just ever so slightly better upstairs here than what Tamamo Cat has, I suppose. Now, obviously, she has to have, you know, a version of Golden Rule. This is obviously better than Golden Rule by having a turn lower cooldown, but why? I guess this really makes the farming possible though, so you know it's not all bad, but like all these awkward placements, like if she didn't have this, she really wouldn't be able to loop farm. But even if she can, it's not pretty. It's just not a very pretty thing to see for loop farming. Hey Death Admiral, thanks for the 3 months. I'm seeing some worrying sub messages here that you know might cause a lot of riots if anything, if you know what I mean, but welcome back to the Gal Gang. Now the second skill has been buffed. But it's one of these stupid buffs that barely changes anything. So it's still a 60% chance to stun one enemy. Still a 6-turn cooldown. And still a 1-turn defense down. But it's now 10% higher. First sneeze of the stream. There it is. Yeah, not good. Not good. Bad. Just bad. Weak. Terrible buff. Stupid year 1 buffs, man. Then the third one, unlike Babbage, sadly, her overload has not been buffed. He got a really sexy buff on his overload. Or not Tammy anymore. Fran still has the base one. Whatever. It's just a bit more MP damage for 1 MP in your farming lineup, I suppose. And then a burn for herself. This is not a big demerit though. It might as well not be there, but it's still a weak skill, all things considered. So all in all, she is looking pretty poor, and this is the only reason that she kind of has a place in the game, if anything. I don't think she's a particularly great DPS at all. In fact, Tamamo Cat is much better of a DPS choice if you ask me. But hey, at least she can farm, in case you want to see what it looks like. Let's zoom in a bit. I can't zoom in. Oh well, hopefully you can see it. Yeah, you need double Scotty and a plug-suited BB on turn 2 to cleanse the first stun of her MP, and then give her an immunity for the next stun. So that's how you loop farm with Fran, in case you were wondering. It's not pretty, but it's doable. But yeah, that's a yikes. Alright, Saber crit resistance, okay. But much like Tammy Cat, the MP has been buffed, so at least it does pretty decent damage, I would say. But yeah, the same stupid 2/3 stun. God damn it. And she doesn't even have anything in her kit to make it work. Like, she doesn't have a debuff immune in her own kit like Tammy Cat does now. And the OC is also purely for DPS purposes, which I don't think she's even that great at. But it's a nice OC though. 20% crit chance down based on 3 turns is not bad at all. But I don't think she's just a great DPS at all. But you can farm with her. But even then, I just want to place her here basically. She would probably be here as a DPS or maybe even here. But because she can do Scotty farming, I'm going to place her here. But definitely a full tier down from Lancelot. Definitely. But still, yeah. Fran is kind of tragic. At least her Saber version is still pretty alright, you know? So she has that going for her. There you go. C+ is generous. It is for a DPS, but because she can do Scotty farming, I'm gonna place her here. That's the only reason. The only reason. Yeah, C+ for extra cute. I see what you did there. That's funny. The next one is really cool, and I feel like a lot of people don't give enough credit here to Beowulf. He's actually pretty damn good nowadays. So, single target buster, crit DPS, but also hits really hard with the MP as well. First of all, another very high attack stat. Love to see it. Very good. And here the Gorilla deck makes good sense because his MP is also buster, so he'll be pressing red as much as he can basically, and he can do it a lot, so that's great. Gain's bad, but no one cares. Skills. Berserker goes berserk. So it's his version of a mana burst, I guess. I actually kind of like this more than a mana burst because it's the same total with buffs 30 and 20 for the MP, but they're mixed buffs, which makes it slightly better for, you know, making your MP hit harder, I suppose. And the first half also, I guess, still helps with his face card damage as well. Not a great skill, but it's not terrible, I would say. Just an okay skill. Second skill has been buffed because it used to be a shitty instinct, so now comes also with crit damage and star absorb for that 1 turn with 15 stars. So with this he can actually have a pretty smexy crit turn, right? Not bad. The uptime is definitely, or the downtime is definitely noticeable, but yeah, now it's actually not bad at all. And then the third skill, his guts has also been buffed. This is actually his latest buff, so 1 time guts 4 turns on a 6 turn cooldown is good for uptime, better than most gutses. Another crit damage buff 50% again for 3 turns. Nice. And then separate modifiers for dragon and giant damage, 50% each for 3 turns. Dragon is definitely way more common than giant is in terms of traits because some servants also have the dragon traits. So yeah, I would say this is and the cooldown also got reduced, which is great. It came down by 1 as well. Actually a pretty damn good gut skill, I would say. So yeah, overall, while his kit, none of the singles, not like a single skill is like broken or anything, it just makes so much more sense now, right? It is really good synergy, especially if you bring like good supports with him. He can hit real hard, like very consistently as well. This I hate though. This fucking sucks. Mana's enhancement E- is only a 1% buster increase. That is a tragedy, but oh well, it is what it is. The lowest rank in the game. Crit resistance against sabers is fine. In fact, yeah, now he's a legit, if you think about it, because, you know, Arturia has like dragon trait, right? And then you have resistance for crits as well. There you go. Funny. Anyway, the MP also has been buffed. This man has certainly seen a lot of buffs, so yeah, it does good damage. Also ignore evasion for 1 turn before damage is good bonus. And I love the OC. 30% crit chance down. Base for 3 turns. Very solid MP, I would say. I don't think people give Beowulf enough credit. He's really good, actually. There's our first A+. Yep. Yep. He's really good. Don't sleep on your Beowulfs. And he's also permanent, so it makes him even more accessible. And he's an old servant, so a lot of people have him at this point. He's really good. Alright, moving on with the similar line of servants. We got Ibaraki next. Another single target buster DPS. I can already tell you she's not as great as Beowulf, but you know, she might not be all bad anyway. So here we go. Attack, not as high at 9.6k, but still high for a 4-star, which is great. Good old Gorilla Dick is back, which makes sense with the Buster MP. I'm okay with that. Gains again, despite not being day 1, even still not good at all. So we can just ignore those. Skills. I guess this is just a better charisma as always. So party attack up 20%, 3 turns. And then self MP damage 30% for 3 turns on a 5-turn cooldown. So not terrible by any means, you know. It's okay. Not great, but it's alright, I would say. Ristia with the 23 months. Thank you. Welcome back to the Go Gang. Much appreciated. Almost 2 years, yeah. Now, her disengage was buffed. It's actually a really interesting buff. This is one of those cutesy buffs, if anything. So it's now a targetable skill. So the target, you cleanse their debuffs, you give them the heal as well, up to 2.5k, and you give them crit damage 100% for 1 turn, which is an added thing. And God, my voice is dying. And if the target is a Shuten Doji, that's a trade now, they get attack up 30% for 3 turns, which is really good actually on a 5-turn cooldown. And if any servant that has the Shuten Doji trait is alive on the field, Ibaraki gets a 20% battery. So if you use this on a Shuten, it's an EX tier skill, more or less. It's really good. If you don't, it's all right. It's not crazy, but it's okay. Especially if they're a crit DPS, because Ibaraki for certainly is not a crit DPS like Beowulf, so this crit damage would be wasted on her a lot of the times. But hey, it's targetable, so a bit more flexible. Yeah. And then the third skill, self-defense up 30% 1 turn, and then a further 30% 3 turns. The basic morph. It's still okay, it's not bad, but I wish this was buffed as well, like most of the other morphs in the game. So all in all, not terrible for the kit. Still fine, I would say. Oh yeah, I guess that's worth noting that Ibuki, for whatever stupid reason, doesn't have the Shuten trait, which this would be such a great buff for her, because she actually has really good crit potential too. So sad, actually. That is really sad. So this is just for your assassins and casters, I guess. And they don't have as good of a crit potential as Ibuki does, so that's kind of annoying, isn't it? Yeah, really annoying. Hey Brass Soak, thanks for the brand new sub. Welcome to the Gale Gang, my dude. Man is in enhancement B. Well, at least she beats Beowulf there. So that's cool. Wish it was still higher, but you know, it's better than E-. The same Saber crit resistance. And sure, MP hasn't been buffed, which I don't like. This should definitely be buffed. Definitely. I like the buff removal, but it is after damage, so which makes it even more annoying. And then defense down, also 3 turns, 10% base after damage. It's an alright MP, but man, do I wish both of these were before damage. Like, either make both of these before damage, or just buff the damage of the MP. That's what she needs. I feel like she could use more love still. But she's not bad. But she's not like Beowulf good. Maybe a B+, honestly. I'm not sure. I don't think I can place her an A, honestly. I don't think I can. But hey, she's still fine as a DPS option for single target. Not bad. I wish the second skill buff would work on Ibuki though. That would be really cool actually. I don't think that would make me place her in A either, but it would be nice. Because the crit buff would make the most sense there. Oh well. Yeah, B+ for banana, I guess. I just realized even the background color of B is like the yellow color. Alright, there you go. You know what? I should make this different as well. I've always used like this here, I think. There you go. Anyway, oh man, now we're going a bit down, if anything. This is the first welfare, isn't it? I mean, I guess that makes a lot of sense. I guess that makes sense because Chacha isn't that amazing, so they were probably not scared of overtuning the first Berserker welfare. So, Chacha. AoE, Buster, DPS, and I guess a farmer, I suppose, but I don't think she's particularly great in either of them. She will always have a soft spot in my heart, though. But I'm gonna be unbiased here, but I should, because back in when I started my JP, she was one of the first servants I used a lot. It was the second event I ever played. And I had Waver as well, so 99% of my teams were Chacha, Waver, and then a support from a friends list. So I used her up until she got Bond 10, actually, because I didn't have it much for units, so yeah. That was my JP account like 4 or 5 months into the game or so. Bunyan is a welfare. Oh, true, that is true, actually. Yeah, she would count, right? Yeah, that's true. So Chacha is not the first welfare here. Anyway... Attack, sadly on the lower side, but could be worse, I guess, but Shout out to 5-hit Buster cards, though. Still not gonna be amazing for like star generation or anything like that, but you know, hit sounds and numbers, you're gonna be seeing them. Gains are also not great either, obviously. Skill, self MP gauge up 10%, up to 10% every turn for 3 turns, and then also MP gain when damage taken by up to 50% for 3 turns. Very counterintuitive because she's very fragile. I mean, I guess it's like if she gets hit, hey, here's a small bonus, but man, I don't like it. I don't think this is good game design. It's so counterintuitive. Yikes. 6-turn cooldown is... if the other effect was better, I feel like it would be good, but right now it might be a bit too weak. I don't know, yeah. Like, this is just a weak version of the skill that Penth has, basically. Not that good. Alright, her version of Innocent Monster. 10 stars per turn for 3 turns, and then... this is such a joke, the second effect. So, her allies get a minus 50% star absorb for 3 turns. I feel like the person who designed her did not know how absorb works. This does not mean that, you know, she's gonna get like twice the more stars than she did. No. This will not do anything. Unless your allies are Berserkers or Avengers, this will not do anything at all. This will not do anything. That's not how star absorb works. This needs to be like minus 500 to 1,000%. Then it's gonna do something. 50% for a Berserker is a joke. It's a joke. It doesn't do anything. So it's a pretty bad skill as well, I would say. Yikes. Third skill is really cool though. In fact, this is the best single target defense down in the game. But, you know, it does sadly require some setup. So reduce the defense of one enemy for 5 turns, and it gets worse every turn for the enemy, that is. So more defense down every single turn. Depending on your rank, it can go up to minus 50% on the 5th turn. Still not amazing, but it's a cute skill, I would say. It's still better than Torture Technique, that's for sure. That's for damn sure. So this is like the one thing she has going for her, I guess. Right? Yeah. Oh well. E+, let's go. Not Beowulf, but hey, pretty bad. Pretty damn bad. Okay. Ruler, crit resistance. Actually not bad though. Because again, Berserker is always going to be a legit class against rulers, even if, you know, Avenger is better. But still, it's an option. Then the MP. I like the normal effect of reducing crit chance by 20% for 3 turns, though. That's not bad. Obviously, free MP5 means the damage isn't horrible either. It's not amazing, but it's not horrible. And then the burn is just, nah, dude. Nah. Maybe best friends with Kiyo, but not really relevant for any DPS purposes. Ooh, Chacha. I still kind of want to place her in C+, because she's a Berserker. You can kind of use her anywhere. And she's a free MP5, but that's it. She's just an average welfare, I would say. Very average. Only because of free MP5. Yeah, I would agree. She would be lower if she wasn't a free MP5. So there you go. You know what? It makes sense as well, because it's C+ for double C, right? Cha. Hey! Funny memes. There you go. Didn't think about that. So there you go. Chacha. Next one is a pretty interesting one. A fairly popular one out as well, if I had to guess. We got Penth, single target buster DPS, and much like many of the other great ones, her attack also very high. Love to see it. 10.5k is nutty for a 4-star. Really good. Love the full gorilla deck as well with the gorilla MP. Very good. And in fact, even on her case, the gorilla deck matters even less because she can actually kind of fill her own gauge as well. So it's even less of a problem. So pretty much top remarks for a red DPS from here, I would say. Right, Charisma B. I would like to see this buff though. I still don't think Charismas are that great at all, but yeah. It's just okay. Second skill, here we go, the better version of the Chacha skill, right? So, self-debuff immune 3 turns is already better than whatever the other effect was. MP damage, or MP gains on damage taken, yikes. This is much better, and it's also double the number. You get 20% MP gauge every turn for 3 turns, and the cooldown is the same, so it's really just like 3 times better, if not more than the Chacha skill, so this is actually a pretty fairly good skill, I would say. And the third skill, self-buster up 20%, 3 turns and a 5-turn cooldown, not bad, especially considering how much she presses the red cards. And then, you know, if you do fight anyone who has the Greek mythology male trait, they will get melted. That's 100% damage mod for 3 turns, so the uptime is really good. How about that? Overall, I would say her skill set is fairly healthy. I would like to see still this buffed, but definitely not bad at all. Madison has an EX, love it. Just, yeah, what is there to be said about it? Just absolutely great. Goddamn. YouTube will be looking at the chat right now and they have no idea what's going on, but yeah, it's due to a certain song on the background. But I guess, you know, maybe they think that you guys are talking about her MP because she screams quite a bit, I guess. Nice bonus tickle from the divinity. Crit chance resistance from riders. Sure. I wish the MP was buffed though as well, obviously, because there's no other normal effect, and the OC is also fairly weak. 10% base attack down for 3 turns. It's not that great. But Penth is still pretty solid, I would say. She is not bad by any means. I still think she's a bit below Beowulf though. I do think Beowulf is better after all his buffs. If they ever give Penth like one or two more buffs, she might be as good or even better than Beowulf. But yeah, she's good. She's definitely a very solid option. And especially if you're fighting Greek males, she might honestly even be here because that damage mod is huge and the uptime is great, but obviously that trait is not super common, so I can't really focus too much on it, so there you go. Oh yeah, I don't think I mentioned, but yeah, this is AoE of course, this buster up, so yeah, it's a bit better obviously, so that's cool. It's like Hijikata basically, in this sense. So that's cool. I think I might have said self here, but yeah, this is obviously AoE, this buster up. So that's cool. Right. The first of the summer. Wait, how many summer servants do we even have here? 3? 3, okay. Not that many on Berserker. Anyway, the first one. Nobu Zerk. A very fun one, honestly. Single target buster DPS yet again. And a very high over 10k attack. Much like many of the other ones, so that's great. Also love the deck, and if you thought, you know, a 5-hitter buster was a lot on Chacha, well, how about a 6-hitter? Because why not? And there's even a fun little thing that this is one of the rare scenarios that if you do like an arts buster brave chain with Summer Nobu, especially if you have crits and overkill, you can actually see some kind of gains from an arts buster brave chain. No joking, because of the ridiculous hit count of it. So even though Buster obviously has the worst MP generation because you need to lead with arts anyway to get any, but even at that point, it's not terrible. But overall, I would still say her gains are obviously not crazy good, but it's a cute thing to mention, I suppose. It's like the Shisho effect, right? Kinda. Anyway, good stuff. So the skills. Her version of the 1-turn evasion on a 6-turn cooldown is interesting because it comes with a 30% or 20% buster up for 3 turns on self. I actually like that. I think it makes more sense than like Mind's Eye, False or Truth, so not bad. I like that it's 3 turns, so it's a bit more flexible to use this because otherwise the timing might mess you up a little bit. So not bad. Second skill is actually kind of cool. So you get 10 stars every turn for 5 turns. Your party gets 500 healing every turn for 5 turns, and then everyone gets 3% battery every turn for 5 turns. The cooldown is pretty big at 8 though, but at least the uptime is pretty good on the effects. Obviously it's not like a broken skill or anything. I wish it was at least like 5% MP gauge or something. 3% is kind of like whatever. But it's an okay skill, I would say. Yeah, it's like a mini Merlin is what it is, yeah. Hey Frodo, thanks for the 26 months. Welcome back to the Gale Gang. Not a bad skill, but maybe looks better than what it is, honestly. Yeah, it is, nowadays is certainly a lot better than this. Shout out to the new buff, it's insane. Anyway, third skill, self-absorb up 3k for 1 turn. So there you go, you can actually do a crit turn. That's, you do need those 4 digits on a Berserker to get any consistency whatsoever. Anything below that is still inconsistent. Also ignores evasion for 1 turn, why not? And then you get an attack buff, 20% 3 turns if you are on Burning Field, and it's a low 4-turn cooldown, so... And because of the MP buff that you're about to see, this skill is actually really good, because you might say at first that this is not that easy, but hey, we have a solution, kinda, so it's actually a pretty good skill after that buff. Madness Enhancement C, very low sadly, but... Well, not very low, but low. I wish it was like EX, obviously. Crit chance resistance against moon cancer, okay. And here we go, the MP buff. Very rare for them to buff Summer Servants to begin with, but I guess she also had some time in other events too, so that makes sense. So yeah, the standard damage buff, OC is the same big divine damage bonus, but now you get Burning Field for 3 turns on the MP use. So it is a bit awkward for the first MP, because obviously you'd prefer to have the attack buff before you MP, but chances are you're going to be MPing more than 1 time with her per fight anyway, so it's still going to be relevant, right? So she kind of solves the only problem that she had, which wasn't even a massive problem to begin with, honestly. And because of the buff, it actually does decent damage, even on lower levels, because a lot of people might have lower levels of her because she's obviously limited, despite seeing a lot of rate ups. So I think she's pretty great, honestly. She's at least an A. I'm not sure if I can still do A+, but I think an A is pretty fair, honestly. I think A is, after the MP buff, is fair. She's completely fine. I would say very interchangeable with Penth, if anything, so I guess the placement does make a lot of sense. Oh yeah, shout out to Nobukatsu being a good combo with her as well, obviously. Oh yeah, if she was against Divine, she would be a lot higher though. Divine would make this higher, for sure. So yeah, take that as you will, I guess. This was mostly a generic use case. And yeah, Divine is obviously a fairly common trait, obviously. But, you know, I wanted more of a generic case here. But in case someone is watching this part, then obviously she would be higher if we accounted for the Divine being in there. So, there you go. Next 4-star, another single target DPS. But hey, this one isn't red. This one is green. Atalanta Alter. Atalanta, Atalante, whichever you want to call. So, single target quick DPS. Attack not as high as the other ones we've seen so far, but still 9.8k is still very fine for sure. She has a double buster, double quick deck, which I like, because now she doesn't have the problem of having a quick MP and not even being able to do a full card type, the matching card type Brave Chain with the MP. She can do it though now, which is good. And I like that she still has double buster, because she also has crit potential in her kit, and you wanna obviously lead crit turns with a buster if you can, for more potential. Gains, I still want to say they're not really that much worth mentioning, but I mean obviously they're better than a standard, you know, Gorilla Berserker, but still not really like anything to write home about. Her star generation also is on the weaker side, mostly because Berserker has the lowest of all the classes in terms of the base star generation number, so despite having decent hit numbers and a bit more quick focus, it's not amazing by any means. But like at least both of them are better than most of other Berserkers, I guess. Anyway, skills. We have seen some buffs, luckily. So, self-absorb up 1 turn, 6k. So again, you need those 4 digits and you got them. So there you go. You can guarantee those stars for that turn. 20 star bomb. Great. And buster crit damage 50% for that 1 turn. So even further emphasizing that you want you want that buster to be a part of the crit shade. So yeah. I wish it wasn't only buster. Not gonna lie. I wish it was just flat out crit damage. I don't know why they chose to do this. It's not as weird as like Saber Astolfo though, who only has 1 buster, but still. It's an alright skill, I would say. It's an alright skill for sure. Second skill, same one as Archer has. Literally everything is the same. So it's an AoE party, quick up, 1 turn, 50%. It's like a mana burst that you might have a bit more value out of if you happen to use the quick cards of your friends as well. But even then, it's basically a mana burst, right? So pretty not amazing. Just a mana burst. And then she has I guess this is Mind's Eye Fake, but it's better because the crit damage is higher, so that's why it's not called Mind's Eye Fake. It's her own unique version, but it's the same effect wise, right? So it's still a 1 turn evasion or 6 turn cooldown, but the crit damage goes up to 50% for 3 turns, further making the buff to the first skill even better, I suppose. So yeah, Critty kitty. Why not? She has a unique passive, which is her version of the buster up, but she also gets star generation. So I guess with this, yeah, it's not as bad as it could be, you know? It's something. And I like that she has this as well for even more crit damage. Very rare on a Berserker. Not bad. Archer resistance for crits, okay. And then the MP. I love the fact that it has a 100% chance to land an MP seal. That's great. Hate the OC though with Curse. It has seen no buff. But I do really like this effect though. It's always a nice thing to have for boss fights. Yeah. I'd say she's alright too, honestly. She might also be A, honestly. I don't think I can place her higher than this, but I would say she's kind of here too. A lot of these are like interchangeable, honestly. Don't think I can quite do A+, honestly. Even after the buff to the first skill. I still want to see like an MP buff or something. Then she would be real good. But she's still very fine, obviously. Nothing wrong with her. But could use more power. Right, another one. The train will never end, huh? Single target buster DPS yet again. And this, another welfare. Not the second one, but third one, I guess. Counting Bunyan. Jalter Summer. Berserker. There she is. So, another high attack. Yeah, it's a trend, huh? Lovely over 10k. Very nice. Full-on gorilla deck makes sense in my opinion. Gains obviously do suffer a lot, but it is what it is. That's why you bring supports with these berserkers. They would not be that good if you didn't. Now, she has an interesting kit as well, I suppose. So, she gets a per turn activated buff for 3 turns. So, you get a 1-hit, 1-turn evasion every turn with this thing. And you also get 30% MP generation for 3 turns, I guess. Which sometimes might do something, because she does have a 4-hitter arts. But don't, you know, pray for miracles, because, you know, or don't expect too much. But sometimes it might be okay. But hey, at least this is fine, because it keeps her kind of protected. Half of the uptime, a little bit. It's not terrible at all. Second one, self-attack up 20% 3 turns. I wish this was higher, though. I do wish this was higher, though, for the attack buff. And she also afflicts burns when attacking. Which I suppose, I mean, the burn is obviously a joke, but it does make it that Honey Lake is a better option for her as a DPS CE. I suppose it's easier to keep up those burns with this. But yeah, I think this should be at least 30%. It's kind of weak now. Or on the weaker side, at least. And then, what is this? I always hated this. 20% buster of 1 turn on a 6-turn cooldown with a 20% battery that has a demerit as well. What the fuck is this? This is not good. This is not good. What the hell? How is this? This should be a 4-turn cooldown. Maybe even 3. This should be a 3-turn cooldown. Why is this a 6-turn cooldown with these numbers? Like, why? I don't see... I mean, sure, she's a welfare. They don't want to give her amazing kid, but... why is it so bad? Just why? And yeah, honestly, at 1k demerits, while having just under 10k HP and being a berserker, can actually sometimes be a bit nasty too. Sometimes, yeah. This is a weird skill. Not good. This is amazing though. Love it. EX on that madness enhancement. Perfect. Archer crit resistance, sure. And then the MP. Besides being free MP5, it sucks. No other normal effect, no buff for damage because it's a welfare MP and it's a burn on the OC. But hey, because she's a free MP5 and because she has some mixed buffs in her kit and a high attack, you know, what do you know? Her MP still actually does a ton of damage. It really does, but yeah. I still don't as much, dude. Chocolate is gonna be mad. I still can't put her to A+. I still can't do it. I can't do it. The skills are kind of lackluster, but she hits really fucking hard though. But yeah, she's not Beowulf tier. No, I can't do it. I can't do it. Can't do it. I can't do it. Even with the free MP5, just so many things that are kind of lackluster otherwise. But yeah, again, definitely a fine choice. And mostly she would probably be here if she wasn't a free MP5, but because she is, it's kind of fair to do the comparison then. There you go. I'm sorry, Chocolate. I'm sorry. I know you wanted to see an A+, but I can't do it. I can't do it. But she's very viable, of course. And because we haven't seen enough single-target Berserkers, we get one that's actually going to ride to NA sooner than later as well. We get the Dino Mommy, I guess that a lot of people call her. Koyo Kijyo. There you go. Here she is. I can't really check any links right now, Master. You're going to have to link that later or something. So, single target buster DPS, but unlike most of the other ones, her attack is sadly just below average for a 4-star, so she does suffer a bit in that sense, I suppose. But she still has the full-on gorilla deck, which I like for, you know, more consistent red damage, I suppose. Gain's obviously not amazing. Oh yeah, let's change this up a bit. There we go. Oh yes, oh yes, very nice. Anyway, her version of Morph. It's the good old 30% defense up for 3 turns and a 5-turn cooldown, but her version gives her that 5k absorb for 1 turn. So again, that's enough to get stars for 1 turn. So, it's okay. It's just alright. Second skill. Self-quicken buster up for 3 turns, 30% on a 6-turn cooldown. And also, it's a targetable that you... but the she's always gonna get the quick and buster up, right? But the target gets the overcharge, basically. It's a 1 stage, 1 time, or 3 turns overcharge. And from what I remember, her own OC isn't that bad either, so you could actually use it on herself too. But chances are your support might have a more tempting overcharge. It's an alright skill, I would say. Not amazing, but it's definitely above average, especially considering how many supports have really good overcharges. So I do think overcharge effects are much better in this day and age than what they used to be like many years ago. Today, they're much better. Alright, party heal up to 2k. Also removes 1 latest debuff from the party, and why not? Instant kill immune for 3 turns for the party. I would say somewhat weak. Yeah, a fairly weak skill. It's a bit of utility, but kind of on the weaker side for defensive skills, I would say. Not terrible. There's way worse skills out there, but a bit of a weak defensive skill. Yeah. Alright, Madness Enhancement A is nice. Magic C is also a nice bonus. Saber crit resistance, and then the MP. She inflicts a burn on herself for 3 turns, which does not stack, but even if it did, it's not even that massive, I would say. And then the OC. Attack up base 20% for 3 turns before damage, so that's why even herself is not a... she herself is not a bad target for the OC buff, because this is actually a fairly good overcharge effect. But obviously the MP hasn't been buffed yet, so the damage is not that crazy. But she does have a couple of mixed buffs, which definitely helps her MP hit pretty hard. But she's also limited, which is kind of annoying. I feel like she's just below these ones, like same tier as like Banana, basically. I don't think she's quite as good as like these ones in most cases. But hey, she's not bad either, honestly. Definitely not bad. Dino Mommy is still fine. But yeah. Especially because she's limited as well, it's hard to justify. Alright, final row already, huh? This is going pretty smooth so far, I would say. There's still many crazy ones to go though, but yeah. Yeah, Jet is just jamming. There you go. Alright, the second summer one, which we'll be seeing on NA this year, right? Very cool. Oh, okay, there was actually 4 summer ones. I think I said 3 earlier. I just noticed Sei as well. Anyway, Summer Bryn. AoE Buster, DPS for sure, and with a bit of supporting as well. I don't think she's really a farmer, but hey, she's not bad for like DPSing and or a bit of team utility and support. So what do we got? A pretty high 10.1k attack again, or basically 10.2k, so that's nice. Good old gorilla deck to go with the Buster MP as well. Gains are what they are. Don't expect miracles, but hey, damage potential is pretty okay. You're mostly gonna get your gains from supports anyway. Right, self-evasion, 2 attacks, 3 turns, and up to a 1k damage cut for 3 attacks, 3 turns, and a 5-turn cooldown. That is actually a pretty damn solid defensive skill. I love the fact that the synergy is really good between the effects, and the uptime is not bad either. And it's flexible. It's actually a pretty nice defensive skill. How about that? Good. In fact, I think damage cut is even better for Berserkers, because they tend to take the most hit from the face cards, so nice. Obviously, this won't help you against MPs, but it's really nice to have against face cards. Second skill. Much like Penth, she also gets 20% MP gauge every turn for 3 turns on a 6-turn cooldown, but instead of getting debuff immune, she gets 10 stars per turn for 3 turns. It's slightly awkward because her kit has 0 absorb in it, so a lot of those times the stars are just kind of wasted, so in that sense they're more for her team if anything. But yeah, not a bad skill still by any means. Pretty good, I would say. So I wish she had absorb though. This would be so much better if she herself had absorb in her kit, because her crits will still be pretty unreliable. So yeah, not bad. Third skill, self arts and buster up 30% for 3 turns, and if your allies have Brynhild's Beloved, they get the same buff for 3 turns as well, all on a 5-turn cooldown. So honestly, this is not even super difficult to achieve, I would say. It's a fairly common trait, mostly found on males, but on a lot of females as well, so... Like, even this, like, alone, because normally a lot of these effects, like these double card type effects, are 6-turn cooldown on 30%, so even if you don't land the ally once, it's still pretty okay, right? Oh, it's not 60% Seth. She doesn't get the other ones. Yeah. These are the same buffs for the party. She only gets the first buffs, okay? So it's like a party-wide 30% for these effects if the traits match, but yeah. It would be ridiculous if she got 60%. Then this would be absolutely broken. But yeah, still not a bad skill. It's actually pretty good. Even if you can't land these on your allies. This is a good uptime and good numbers on these 2 buffs. Man, that is a bit unfortunate though, that Madness Enhancement D-. Would like to see a higher number. Oh well. Bonus tickle. Lancer crit resistance, alright. Now, love this normal effect every time. Ignore invul before damage for 1 turn. Great. And also, self buster up 20% based on the OC for 1 turn before damage. Good MP. Obviously, it's not buffed and she's a limited, so the MP might not have the best damage potential ever, but effects-wise is really good. It's actually really good. So with this, yeah, she does get to 50% buster up in combination with this. And by having a high attack as well. Yeah, she's not bad at all. She's pretty solid, man. I think she's another A-tier servant. Mostly because she's limited, so it's kind of harder to get MP copies, but totally a very fair servant. Yep. So much A? Well, it is what it is. What can you do, man? So, we jump into so from Summer 5 to Summer 6, and it's the latest Berserker in the game as well, and that also means it's the final 4-star. We got the Summer Zoomer. Sei Shounagon Berserker Summer, whatever you call her. So, a single target quick DPS attack. It's pretty high, but not as high as some of the other ones, but still good. Now, this is another one of those annoying... I can't believe they went back for this again with having a quick MP with a triple buster deck again. I don't like it. Actually, I should mention at this point, it's even particularly more annoying because she actually has crit focus on her kit. I really wanted a buster MP for her, but I don't think they were going to do that because OG Sei obviously had a quick MP as well, right? It does make it a bit awkward though. Obviously she can still generate a decent chunk of stars with the MP, I suppose, but I still would have preferred a buster MP for her. Oh well. Skills: self-attack up 30% 3 turns, self-crit damage up 30% 3 turns, and self-battery 20% on a 6-turn cooldown. Not the highest numbers, but I like the effects. It's alright. It's a fair skill for sure. Not bad. Second skill, much like Bryn, she has a 2-hit evasion for 3 turns, so the 6-turn cooldown. But instead of getting more defensive stuff, she gets crit damage, 100% for 1 turn and 5k absorb for 1 turn. So there you go. She can have a pretty fat crit turn, right? And luckily this is a hit-based evasion. It's only 3 turns max though, but if this was 1 turn, this would be much more awkward to use this, but this makes it a bit more flexible in terms of when you can use it, but it's still a bit awkward because it's like mixed offensive with defensive, so... But it could be worse. Not bad. And much like, I guess Koyo Kijyo, she has a healing skill as well, but this is not AoE, this is a single target heal up to 3k, and then burn immune, because, you know, God knows you gotta watch out for those burns, and then 25 star bomb on a 5-turn cooldown. If anything, the star bomb is the real meat of this thing, so can actually, in combination of like these, like she can have a really sexy turn when you pop all 3 skills with a brave chain. She's gonna be like living the high life for that 1 turn. It's gonna be such a great turn. After that, she might not be looking so hot. You know, I mean, she's always hot like this, but I'm talking like in terms of damage, I guess. But yeah, if you do pop them like all once, then man, what a great turn you're gonna have. Very consistent and easy to accomplish as well, I suppose. Madness enhancement D is very low. Hate to see it. I guess she has a this just doesn't make any sense. It's a 4% absorb for quick. What? 4? I don't get it. It's clearly a lower passive, right? It's just, what the fuck? 4% absorb? Unless they meant this to be crit damage. Because I don't get it. I don't get it. I really don't get it, man. I just don't understand. Why is it 4? I guess it helps in her 1 quick card. Yeah, 1 quick card with a quick MP. It helps it get a bit more of the stars when it's distributed among her own cards. But it's weird, man. It's weird. Anyway, charm, debuff, resistance 100%. It's not a bad passive, though. That's a very nice bonus to have, I suppose. Ruler resistance is fine too, of course. And then she kind of has the same MP as Archer does, right? But single target version. So you get damage bonus against lawful servants, 50% for 1 turn before damage. Shadow servant damage, 50% for 1 turn before damage. And man attribute damage, 50% based on OC for 1 turn before damage. The shadow servant one, you can immediately discard that one. That is completely irrelevant in 99% of the cases. Lawful servants, not bad. And she's a berserker, so it's easier to do than Archer, I suppose, because berserker is easier to bring in more fights. And man attribute also not the rarest thing ever. It's somewhat common among servants, so yeah. It's not a bad MP per se. It's just like it's bad if you don't hit any of the bonuses. That's when it's kind of bad. Oh, Archer is neutral. Okay, so it's a bit different than Archer because she has lawful and Archer has neutral. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that was an unintentional pun, Sev. I don't know. She seems fine on paper. I just really wish she had Buster MP, man. It would make so much more sense with the crits as well. Can I still place her in a B plus or is she B? Probably still B plus, honestly. Probably. I don't think I can place her in A though. I think she's just a bit behind the others. B plus is probably fine though. She doesn't seem bad at all, but I think I would probably prefer these over her. So, yeah. Summer 6 brought us a lot of good service though, right? Not a single one of them was bad at all. In fact, most of them were like way above average. That was kind of a crazy power creep summer event. Since last year, Hari. Summer 6, the latest summer added Sei Berserker. Okay, so that was it for the 4 stars, right? Wow. Then we got the 5 stars remaining. There's not a single day 1 5-star Berserker, but very close to day 1 we do have Mr. Golden, though. He was in fact the second limited SSR added in the game after Gilgamesh, so very early on regardless. Like 4 months in maybe, I want to say. I don't remember exactly, but not too far from release. He was also added, fun fact, they released many good CEs with him, and I believe they also had a raid up at the time, which is not something they do anymore. CEs including Victor of the Moon, Another Ending, and, wait for it, Black Grail. Yeah, that was a cool banner, I guess. So, yeah, that was an interesting one. Oh, wait, why isn't Vlad first, now that I mention it? Oh my god, the order is scuffed. Okay, you know what, we're gonna shuffle this, because I have to, yeah, I saw him and I was like, I totally forgot. Okay, the order was a bit scuffed. Okay, Mr. Golden has to wait for a second. Alright, Vlad is the first one because we have to go in order. Okay, sorry, Kintoki. Also blame Jax for everything. Yeah, alright. Vlad is the first one. He is the day one, of course. Of course. Single target arts DPS monster, no pun intended, I guess. Now, let's go look at 5-star numbers. His attack. You know what's funny? This is really funny. I just noticed this. His attack is literally the average for a 5-star. By the number. It's 11,499. That is average among SSRs. That is exactly average. Like, to the single digit. I've never seen that before, actually. That's crazy. That might be the first time ever among all of these rarities as well. Kinda crazy. Oh, was Kintoki before Vlad in the wiki? That's really weird. That's definitely not the case. I can tell you that much. Anyway, so I guess it's slightly above average then, because Berserker bonus or Berserker class will, you know, be a bit higher. Oh, did Kintoki have an ID in the game first? That's really weird. That shouldn't be the case, but whatever. I'm still gonna do release order first, because that's what I said in the criteria thingy, so whatever. Anyway, double buster, double art stick, so he can also do an arch chain with his MP, which is Laburi. Gain still, don't get fooled, they're bad, but he has a lot of buffs to help as well, and of course supports will make a big difference as well, but on base they're dog shit. They're just dog shit gains. They're just terrible. Anyway, let's take a look at his skills. Vampirism. Thank God his at least goes to 100%. I hate the 80% as we've been seeing for many of these lists. His goes to 100% despite being a day 1 skill. Thank God. And his battery is not awkward at 30%. It's not like a 26% battery or something like that. So on a 6-turn cooldown, even on this day, this is actually a pretty good skill, I would say. It's actually pretty good. Guaranteed delay with a battery. Yeah. And also, in case people don't know, Drain is not considered a debuff, so even if enemies like debuff immune, this will still go through. Unless they have, for some reason, have a mechanic that you can reduce their ticks, this will always go through, which is nice. So you only need the 100% and you're always gonna land it. Nothing resistance-wise will affect this one, unlike some debuffs, obviously. Or most debuffs. Every debuff. Because this is not a debuff. Anyway, they buffed his morph and now it's really sexy. 30% defense and attack up for 3 turns and a 5-turn cooldown. It's so basic, but it's effective. So, yeah. Super basic, but nothing really to hate about it, right? And we got this buff on NA now as well. So his guts buff. So it's still a one-time guts for 5 turns on a 7-turn cooldown. And that's the same. But it now has a second guts one time, 1 turn, which stacks with this one. Obviously, it wouldn't make sense if it didn't, because it would just be, you know, no effects. So, you know, double guts, alright? It's a bit sad it's only 1 turn, but, you know, sometimes you'll get value out of it, I suppose. And I believe this does proc before this one, so it would be really hard to get value out of this if it didn't proc before this guts, but it does, pretty sure. And he gets MP gain 30% for 3 turns. So now it's a pretty damn good gut skill, I would say. How about that? overall, I would say his kit is actually pretty nice after these buffs. It works. It just works. And he has madness and has many EX for a bit more buster damage, but he's definitely not about these cards. It's a very rare example where he really doesn't focus on these cards much at all. He has no crit potential, and he's full on arts focused anyway for damage, so... But it's nice to have, I guess. Lancer crit resistance is okay. And then the MP, because day one he had a scuffed modifier, or rather, no. The buff, like, they tried to fix it, but it was still scuffed, right? So, but they did also buff the stars here, but then they finally fixed it. And in addition to fixing it, they also gave him a new normal effect, which is really nuts, because it's a really good one. So it's now a single target 20% arts risk down for 3 turns. Granted, yes, it's after damage, but man, does it make him go like a train. He's just going to be a train after this. And now it has the buffed modifier it always meant to have, right? And it's a 10 hitter. So despite having a lower number here, with this up, especially if this is if it's not the first MP, you probably have this up as well. You're gonna have Castoria buffs. You're gonna whatever. It's gonna be nuts. The refund is actually can be very significant. 20 star bomb, mostly relevant for himself. I'm not gonna lie, but hey, helps your supports get their MPs. I guess it's actually a very good MP now. Like, alone and without like buffs and whatnot, he would be a very slow train, but he's basically a bullet train with good supports and all these buffs. I mean, I knew this was gonna happen anyway. There's your first EX. He really is. He's a premier single target DPS of the game. He's among the best for sure. And because he's a Berserker, he's very flexible as well. You can kind of bring him anywhere. And he's a day 1 SSR, a permanent one, so he's fairly accessible as well, I would say. A lot of people have him. So, yeah, it's an easy EX in my book. Also, in very rare situations, if the farming like a node has a really scuffed number of enemies, like 1, 1, 2 or something, he can do farming too. He can actually get enough gains to actually loop enough. You'd be surprised. It's fucking ridiculous. I don't want to put emphasis on that, but it's doable. I've actually died myself too. It's pretty funny. But yeah, he's great. He's a top tier single target DPS. The EX seems way too high. Oh, look who it is again. It's this guy again, who has never used Vlad in a Castoria meta. Dude, if you think EX is way too high for Vlad, now I know you're an NA player. I just know you're an NA player. You're stupid. I'm sorry. I'm toxic. I'm fucking toxic. But man, you need to use him with like double Castoria. He's ridiculous. Like, yeah, I would agree with you. Even without Castoria, you have so many support options. He's ridiculous. He's absolutely ridiculous as a single target DPS. Okay, I'm sorry for the toxicity, but I'm kind of annoyed at this guy for making really silly remarks on chat all the time. Like, he's the one guy that's really annoying today, okay? Like, you have not tried him out if you think EX is too high for him. That's all I'm gonna leave that as, okay? Anyway, moving on. Now we finally get Mr. Golden. Because apparently his ID is before Vlad in game, which is really weird, because he was not a day 1 servant by any means. Stop assuming everyone's playing JP? What are you talking about? Yeah, I mean, not everyone plays JP, yes, but you shouldn't make stupid comments if this is a list that takes JP into account. What the fuck are you talking about? Bro, this is not an NA list. This is a 2022 JP list in March. What the fuck are you talking about? Dude. Okay, Kintoki, let's go. One of my favorites, actually. Sadly, not amazing, but he's very fun, honestly. Attack, insanely high. 12.7k is really high for a Berserker. Oh yeah, that wasn't the same guy that said that comment, by the way. That was another guy. So that wasn't the Anastasia guy saying that. So that was another guy. Anyway. Oh yeah, the costume. There you go. Enjoy that. So yeah, that's a very high attack for 5-star. Even higher because of the Berserker class modifier. Very cool. Has the good old Buster deck, I suppose, with his Buster MP as well. Gains are bad, but at least he has a battery, right? So there you go. So he has the 1-turn version of Monster Strength, but at least it goes high enough to be considered a mana burst, I suppose. Definitely not amazing or anything like that. But it could be worse, I suppose. I want to see this buffed. 50% battery, 6-turn cooldown. It's good. It's good. That's it. It's not broken, but it's good. That's what it is. Helps with his obviously horrible gains. And then the third skill, which is easily the worst part about him. I don't like this skill. Offensive debuff resistance even further than 100% on max rank for 3 turns, and then a self heal up to 3k on a 5-turn cooldown. Not good. Weak as a defensive skill. Weak. Oof. Damn. We need, instead of natural body, we need golden body EX on all capital letters. That's what he needs. This needs a buff. This needed a buff years ago. It still needs a buff. This is not a great defensive skill. This is only one anyway. Oh boy. And this is also kind of annoying. Madness Enhancement E. Damn you, Kintoki, for not being crazy, dude. I wish you were a bit more insane gameplay-wise, but you're one of the coolest characters, though, so maybe not. Maybe it's a worthy trade-off. Divinity D, some tickle. Assassin crit chance resistance. This is actually fair. You know what? This might even be more worth mentioning, because enemies depending on the classes actually have different base crit chances. An assassin, from what I remember, might have the highest crit chance of on base crit chance of the enemy classes, right? Or at least one of the highest. So crippling that actually is kind of cool, I guess. The MP has been buffed, which is actually very cool. Hey, thanks for gifting a sub to Ferk, Ari. That's nice of you. Much appreciated. So yeah, it ignores defense, which is cool, and now also does a Buster Res down 30%. But yeah, this is the 2-turn thing I was talking about. I think this is the last 2-turn effect they've done ever since. It's kind of weird. It's really weird. And I wish it was before damage as well. And a base 50% chance to stun. Not that great, but hey, at least even on like MP1, it still does decent damage. Yeah. Kintoki was the most use case he sees is like raids where he can like one-shot stuff, but even like there's so many options for stuff like this nowadays, right? And as a DPS, he's definitely not that good. His downtime is pretty atrocious. He's not like Vlad that just keeps on going, and his defensive option is also not great, but he's still fine. I say he still deserves an A, to be honest. He still deserves an A for sure, for being an easy to MP with guy that hits pretty hard, for sure. But besides that, he's kind of lacking behind in like modern power creep. So yeah, I guess yeah, Rish, you're wrong. He has some potential to 3-turn bosses because of, you know, Buster supports and him having the battery as well, but I still can't really put him higher than an A, honestly. I do love the costume though. Sadly, that doesn't affect gameplay, but it's something worth noting, I guess. He has one of the best costumes in the game, in my opinion. Couldn't I be him, honestly, A+? I can't, dude. I can't. Even if it looks kind of ridiculous with the way this is, so I'm just being honest with myself here. I'm sorry, I can't do it. He needs another buff, for sure. I wish he gets one. Right, a year 1 SSR still. Chief Nurse Nightingale. A very, very, very special case here. She's a Buster class support. And what kind of support she is? Half DPS for Buster, half mitigation for MPs. I honestly, it's hard to say, man. It is hard to say. Here's the FA, okay. Attack is actually pretty high. In fact, I would actually hope she would have even worse attack than this, but even the HP is still not terrible. 15k is alright, but you gotta consider she's still a berserker though. She's gonna be slapped around a lot, sadly. Double Buster, double arch deck. Obviously, I mean, they kind of have to kind of put double Buster, I guess, anyway, but yeah. Her gains are sadly still not good. They even had to nerf her quick gains because it's a 6-hitter. How sad is that? Why? It's not like she's broken. Why would you nerf that? Let her have like an Ereshkigal equivalent of a gains card as well. I hate this fact. Like, if she was released nowadays, they would not gatekeep her like this. We've seen way crazier cards. Like, why would you have to nerf this? It would not be crazy. Her MP's not broken anyway. I don't get it. Like, this is such an annoying design choice because it's a year 1 thing. It's just annoying. Now, skills. Single target heal, 4k. Debuff immune 3 times 3 turns, and insta-kill immune 1 time 3 turns on a 5-turn cooldown. It's not a bad skill, honestly. I like the debuff immune being pretty flexible. That's nice, and the heal can be solid too. So it's actually an okay skill, I would say. Insta-kill immune, probably wasted most of the time though, obviously. Then the second skill. It's actually not that bad. I hate the fact that she gets a damage mod though. I don't think that just doesn't make any sense. She's not supposed to be a DPS. But hey, at least she gets a 25% defense up against humanoids for 3 turns. But it's a 6-turn cooldown, so it's just a worse morph. Like a basic it's worse than a basic morph, because you don't really care for the damage buff. Granted, yeah, humanoid is a good trait because 99% of servants are humanoid, but man, it's still like a morph is a defense against everything. And a base morph is just better than this. And most morphs in the game have been buffed as well, like what the fuck? Is weak. Damn. Oh yeah, maybe you can hear Grand Cirque here and there as well. Too big of a cooldown for what it does. Alright, this used to be the best buster buff in the game for less than a year until Merlin came out, I guess. But yeah, it's still not bad, honestly, at all. It's still a 3-turn 50% buster up for a 5-turn cooldown. While obviously not as good as PP creation, it has a slower cooldown. And it's still a very solid chunk of damage. Like, this is still great. Absolutely. Still a great skill. So at least she has this for, you know, a bit of offensive supporting capabilities. Madness has many EX, because God knows she needs that with their 2 one-hitter busters, and she's not even a DPS. Great. Alright, crit chance, resistance against Avengers, sure. And then the buffed version of the MP is actually pretty cool. So it's an AoE attack down 50% for 1 turn. Party cleanse, party heal, base 3k on MP1. And enemy MP damage down 50% for 1 turn. So it's actually a pretty okay way to cripple an enemy's MP, actually. Not bad. Does it pretty okay. And granted, obviously these could get resisted if they have some resistances, but yeah, it's an interesting one. You don't like, there's hardly ever a situation where you were like, oh, this is the MP I need, right? No, not really. I did, there was actually one scenario where I can think of where this was MVP. Kiara unnerfed, right? I did that stall video. In case you want to see it, it should be up on my channel. I forgot what it's called, but I did use Nightingale, Medea Lily, and Artemis. Because the way it works is that Kiara removes your buffs before doing damage, right? So she was gonna kill you, and the only way to combat that was to reduce her damage, basically. So Nightingale MP was actually MVP. How about that? So yeah, that's the one good use case scenario I've had of Nightingale as a proper support. Besides that, I can't really think of that many good cases where like, oh, this is great for Nightingale. Some people saying, hey, I can't do it. I'm willing to do a B+ though. I like the buster buff a lot. She's got some okay utility in her kit as well and can cripple the enemy a bit, but I hate her class. I hate her deck. I hate that she has a damage buff for herself. I hate that how weak her defensive stuff is, but besides that, she's good. You can still use her, absolutely, but she's just awkward in so many places, right? Yeah. Still, please buff her more. Lasagna, come on. Let's get a nice, real good Nightingale, okay? There you go. Right, the next one might divide some opinions if I had to guess, but I already know what I'm gonna do here, and I will not be swayed. Alright, Kijyo Alter. The man, the myth, the legend. Good old single target buster DPS that is very hard to kill, needless to say. Attack a ridiculous 12.8k. Still probably top 5 to top 10 attacks in the entire game, if I had to guess. Even if we have some higher extra class stuff. Yeah, that is a ridiculous amount of attack. Just broken as hell. Obviously, his gains are not great, having the full gorilla deck. Maybe an overkill quick arts crit, you can maybe see something, but you know, not the easiest thing to accomplish. Let's take a look at his kit. First skill, AoE attack down 20% 3 turns, and AoE crit chance down 50% for 3 turns with a 6-turn cooldown. Not a lot of people give this skill the credit it deserves. It's really good. It's so good. It's ridiculous. I can't believe this is a year 1 game design choice, because it's actually a really good defensive skill. Oh my. Such a good skill, man. Helps so much for your party to stay alive. Yeah, take a shot from me cooming about crit chance down again. PFA. Sadly, it's rank C, so it's not a 3-hit evasion, it's a 2-hit evasion, but it's still uncapped on duration, which is great, and still comes with a bonus defense up for 3 turns if it happens to break or someone ignores evasion. 5-turn cooldown. I mean, sure, it's not 3-hit PFA, but it's still a top tier defensive skill no matter what. It's still up there. It's not the best there is, because, you know, it's not 3 hits, but it's still really good. And then his third skill, it's sadly a guts that hasn't been buffed yet, but it's the good old standard 1-time 5-turn 7-turn cooldown. So it's not like, even among the normal guts, there's still worse ones out there, but yeah, hopefully they do something about this at some point as well. So yeah, everything about the kit, full on defensive mode. Has an actual C rank madness enhancement. I wish it was EX, but oh well. Divinity C is okay for tickles. Lancer crit chance resistance is alright. And then this a lot of people don't even know, because this actually flew a lot of people's head. His MP actually has been buffed, and it wasn't even that long ago. So, standard damage buff, and now removes defensive buffs before damage. Wow! Ain't that just sexy? Now that is a great fucking buff, man. They didn't even need to touch the OC. The OC is fine. You get 30% attack and defense for 1 turn before damage, which is great. Makes your brave chains that much more juicier. But man, the damage buff with defense buff strip before damage, huge. Right? Oof. No, it's not 1 defensive buff, Yukaro. It's 1 enemy's buffs. If it was 1 buff, it would not be that good. It's every buff you can remove for defensive stuff. It would be so bad, or so annoying if it was 1 defensive buff. Such a good MP now, though. Like, this is a really insane MP now. He's just amazing. Like, I see a lot of people writing Ace. I don't care. He's EX. After that MP buff, there's no way I can place him below EX. No shot I can place him below EX. No way. No way. No way. Even his damage is really good now. Oh my god. He's insanely hard to kill. He's insane for damage, and you can't stop his damage either. Like, anyone who says A, no. 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 No, I can't do it. He's EX. He's absolutely EX. Absolutely. After that MP buff. If he didn't have the MP buff, he would probably be here, honestly. I still like him a lot. But with that, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Not even a question for me, okay? I can't do EX plus though, but this is where he belongs. There you go. Good. Reich made this 1 copy. This tier. He made a lot of them, actually. Alright, moving on. Finally, we're deviating a bit from the single targets. Okay, Raiko, the OG Berserker, Minamoto no Yorimitsu. AoE Buster, honestly, I want to say DPS. Sadly, she can't really farm up to today's standards. I mean, sure, you can absolutely use her farming if you want, ain't no one gonna stop you, but I feel like she has more value as a DPS than a farmer. She's actually pretty decent on many AoE CQs, I would say, even in this day and age. Anyway, attack 11.5k is above average. Love to see it. Double arts, double buster. I honestly still may have preferred triple buster on her, because she also has crit focus, and a pretty decent one at that, actually. But it's alright, I would say. At least it makes it a bit easier for her to get her MP, I suppose. Although her MP is not even that amazing, in my opinion. Especially in lower MP levels and no grails or whatever, but I digress. FA. Okay, fine. There it is. Okay. You won't be seeing that for long, though. I'm already scrolling. Bye. Alright. So, the skills. Self-absorb up 6k for 3 turns on a 5-turn cooldown, and crit damage 60% for 3 attacks 3 turns. I wish it was just flat-out turn-based crit damage, but man, that is a great crit damage skill regardless, honestly. So yeah, this is why I wish she had a triple buster deck instead of the double arts, if anything. It is slightly higher on the value versus like a normal 50% for 3 turns, mostly because it's 3 attacks, 3 turns, and not just flat out 3 turns, which would be better, obviously, but yeah, it's still good. Now, her mana burst is also her evasion, so it got a +1 cooldown for that 1 turn evasion as well, and the buster came down to 30% up for that 1 turn. Very awkward, I would say. Very, very awkward skill. You still probably want to save it for the evasion and just hope the buster lands on a good turn, so pretty awkward of a skill and not that great, neither defensively, not offensively. It's just okay at best. Could use a buff. Third skill, okay, her damage mods, I guess. So, self-demonic damage, 3 turns, and self-servant that are earth or sky attribute damage for 3 turns for 50%. Not the worst mods ever. Divine would have been better than demonic, but you know, 2 attributes is pretty a lot. I mean, sky is obviously a very minor attribute, but earth is still somewhat common, I suppose. Oh yeah, I guess Shidonai is fair here. Oh wait, no, Shidonai, it works against her, but not against the other demi and pseudo servants. Okay, so she still gets destroyed, I guess. I don't know why. Maybe because she's a high servant. That's probably why. Yeah, that's probably why. So 3 turn uptime on both on a 6 turn cooldown. It's okay if you can get use of these, but sometimes it's just kind of a useless skill, sadly. I wish it had something else too. Anyway, Magic Resist D is nice to have as a DPS. Madness Enhancement EX is perfect. Again, another reason why I wish she had triple buster instead of double arts. Writing A+, well, no. And then Divinity C for a bit more tickle. Hey, there's the Assassin crit chance down again, which is alright. MP has been buffed though, luckily, so it's not that much of a noodle anymore, which is good. And they also added a new normal effect of 20% crit chance down for 3 turns. Very cool. And the OC is actually not bad. It's a 100% self-star gen for 1 turn before damage. And with a 7-hitter buster AoE, she actually does generate a very good chunk of stars. Granted, you hit 3 opponents. So it's actually a pretty decent MP now, I would say. But yeah, I don't think she's like a great farmer. She's a pretty alright DPS though, for sure, right? I think I would probably place her in A as well, honestly. I don't think I can do a plus though. But A is fair. Again, don't mind the distribution. It is what it is. I'm not doing it on purpose, I swear to God. I swear to God. I'm being honest to myself here, so there you go. She's still a pretty fine DPS for all things considered. Right, we're going back to single target. We got Etchan, Mysterious Heroine X Alter, MHXA, and every other nickname she has. Single target, a quick DPS. Kind of a rare thing again on Berserkers. Attack slightly below average for an SSR, but not too bad. That's a lot of 1s, by the way. Double Buster, double Quick deck, I think makes sense because she has both crit focus, so I like that she at least has double Buster, but I also like that she has double Quick because she has a quick MP, so it's like a good balance between both of those, I would say, so this deck definitely makes sense in my eyes. Gains are not as bad as most of the Berserkers, actually. Definitely not amazing or anything, but, you know, above the others, or most of the others that we've seen, so there you go. So, she has seen a bit of buffs as well. The first skill is actually a lot to read, huh? So, self-healing up 50% for 3 turns. And she also heals herself by 2k when you use this, which also will be buffed by the healing rate, because the healing rate happens before that heal happens. And then a nice rainbow crit buff. So for 1 attack or 3 turns on all of the cards, you get up to 30% crit damage. Not sure if this buff was really needed, because that's all it did. But, you know. Sure. Why not? At least she generates a decent chunk of stars as well, so she might be able to crit as well. A bit easier. Now, the second skill is actually really solid. Self-quick up 30%, 5-turn cooldown, and a 20-star bomb. It's basic, but it's just pretty damn solid, honestly. Helps with the first skill as well, after the buff, so... yeah. Good uptime, I like it. And then the third skill, it's a charisma. Don't let it fool you that it has a second line attached to it. It's a charisma. It's just a charisma. The first line, it doesn't help too much. It's not enough. It's a minus 100% crit absorb for one ally for one turn. It's not enough. But, you know, an attempt was made. It's still a charisma. So it's just an okay skill, I would say. Yeah. Oh well. Like, a mechanic like this is not bad if it's not on a Berserker. It needs to be on a class that has an actually average to higher than average, you know, absorb to begin with, right? C rank madness. Doesn't really matter too much in her case, I guess. Her own unique passive of 20% debuff rest is nice. I like that. Another assassin crit chance down is okay. And the MP also has been buffed, which is cool. And it has a good alignment damage mod now for 50% before damage for one turn. Important to note it's one turn, so it affects your face cards as well, which is cool. Bonus damage against sabers, so she's actually a fairly legit choice against sabers, because she already is okay as a berserker, not as good as an archer, but with the MP as well having a very sexy damage mod, definitely a solid option. And good alignment, obviously, it's not a bad niche, not bad at all, fairly common. So yeah, it's a good buff, I would say. It actually hits pretty damn hard now, especially if you're going against sabers, and you have mixed buffs as well from this quick buff and this attack buff. So yeah, and Etchan in a proper setup can actually, she's not like Vlad where she goes super crazy, but she can go pretty good as well, right? She can still go pretty well. Even if quick is not the best, it's probably the worst card type right now for a DPS, Etchan is still, after all these buffs, she's pretty damn solid. I think we finally have our second A+, honestly. I think we finally have our second A+ after all this time. She's pretty damn good. Not like, I would probably still pick Ku Alter or Vlad in depending on the setups and what you have over her, but, you know, she's very good. She's good. Oh yeah, and her quick crits are pretty good with Scotty as well, obviously. Fat damage. Now I have to be so fucking unbiased, dude. Oh my god. Where is he? There he is. Obviously my favorite Berserker, who I'm probably gonna grill in NA this year as well, but you know. Alright, Hijikata. Mr. Shinsengumi. Mayonnaise Man. Angry Man. Everything. A lot of titles, alright? Pickles. There you go. Single target buster DPS. Attack, a pretty damn solid, over 12k. That's nice. Double buster, double quick. Since he doesn't have a quick MP, I still would have preferred him to have the triple buster, honestly, because the MP is still buster. But he does have crit focus as well, right? But even then, because he, like, unlike Etchan, who has a quick MP, I think the deck made more sense there. So yeah, I think I would have preferred a triple buster deck though, sadly. His gains are obviously not great either. I think Etchan has better gains from my memory. Again, this is just me going, I'm not obviously not doing any calculations here, but from what I remember, Etchan has a way easier time of getting gauge. Not that she does it really well either, but I guess a bit better than Hijikata. So, remember the Bunyan thing or the Penth thing? Yeah, he has an AoE 20% buster up too on 3 turns for 5 turn cooldown. And this one also comes with a party star gen for 20% on 3 turns. It's alright. Nothing crazy, but it's alright. Kind of, both effects kind of work okay for him too. So, yeah, it's just alright. Second skill, thank god they buffed this. I love this buff so much. So it's still a disengage, they didn't change anything about that. It's a cleanse with a heal, it's the same cooldown, same numbers, but now it's also a one-time 3-turn guts, which is also stackable with other gutches. Thank you, I love this buff. This is so good, this was so spot on with his game style. Thank you, DW at the time. Very good, great buff, great buff. This was a perfect buff for him, okay? Love it, love it. Good uptime on the guts as well on the 5-turn cooldown. So, chef's kiss. Very good buff. For once they knew what they were doing. Anyway, the third skill, his bread and butter for a lot of damage, I suppose. A lot of absorb for 3 turns on a 5-turn cooldown. And depending on how low you are, you get more crit damage. It's like, it's 20% to, what was the highest again? It's not 80%, is it? I forgot, but it can get pretty high as well for the... I hate maths. Maybe it's close to 80%. Oh no, it's 100% max. Okay, so yeah, actually, potentially can have a really insane amount of crit damage for 3 turns. In fact, the demerit might actually be a merit a lot of the times, which is funny, because it does damage to himself, which helps with this and his MP, I suppose. Yeah. So it at most it's like a 99% crit damage, because it obviously can't go to 100, because he would be at 0 HP, right? So yeah, that's how that math works. Is it based on pre-activation or during the turn? It's based on activation, I'm pretty sure. So what your HP is at the time, that's what the crit damage buff is going to be for the full duration of this. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Anyway, sadly only a Madness Enhancement D+. I would love to see a higher number, but oh well. Alter Ego crit chance down. Interesting. And the MP has been buffed, which is also really great. Sadly, they only buffed both of the damage numbers for the missing health on the OC and the base damage. But hey, with this, he actually does pretty decent damage with his MP, even on full HP. That wasn't the case before this buff, but now, even with full HP, he actually does a decent chunk of damage, which is good. You don't always have to be low to actually do damage with him. But now, with this Guts buff, his kit just makes so much more sense. So much more sense, because you can actually have like a friend Guts as well, or a Guts CE, and feel much more safer, right? Much more safer while doing the risky gameplay strat. I really want to put him in A+, but I'm not sure if I can, and this might be my bias stacking, but he's definitely no less than an A, but damn. I don't think I can put him in A+ though, if I have to be like true to myself and objective. Because sometimes he's kind of not that great. Even if he might stay alive a little bit, he might not always do the best damage out there. So, yeah. I do have to place him in A. But I'm still gonna grill and max it whatever this year. I don't care. It's obviously irrelevant. So, he's the best in my heart, okay? Love this man. Love this man for sure. I think he's pretty fair for him to be in the same tier as Kintoki. I think they're a bit different as single target buster DPSs, but in a lot of cases I feel like they might be a bit interchangeable, honestly, so I feel like it's fair. Gameplay grailer if you grail anything above C tier. Damn, you got me, dude. Right, the next one is, oof, okay. We got the Horseman, Xiang Yu, AoE, quick. I can't say farmer. It has to be DPS for sure. He's not a farmer. No. He's not gonna work. So, attack is just above average for a 5-star. And he has the stupid deck of having triple buster with a quick DPS MP. And I hate it because he also has crit potential, meaning he can't even do a sexy MP crit chain. I mean, he can, but he's not gonna be as good of a potential as it could be with a full quick chain, for instance. Man, I don't like the deck already. Should be double quick, double buster for sure. Gains obviously not great. Now the skills, okay. 1 turn evasion on a 6-turn cooldown, so that's standard. But then he gets 100% crit damage for 1 turn and also a ton of absorb to get those crits going. So he can have very, very fat crit turns. He can't have them very often, but when he does have them, he hits really damn hard, especially if you do like quick crits. And which is why I'm again mad that he doesn't have 2 quick cards. The Scotty pick would make so much more sense. Why does he only have 1? I don't get it. I just don't get it. He should have double buster, double quick. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, quick and buster up 3 turns, 30% each 5-turn cooldown, and also crit damage 50% for 1 turn. Actually, one of the better skills of this sort. It's good. Totally fine. And also it's on the defensive skill, which makes the usage more awkward. Don't like that. So, 10 stars per turn for 3 turns and a 5-turn cooldown, and ignore invul for 3 turns. Those stars, it's a start, but you will need more. They're gonna be better when this is active for sure, but if you don't have this active, you need way more than this to be any use. Way more. This should be like 15 at least. At least. Goddamn horse. Madness Enhancement A+, or actually no, it's a Misfortune one, so he gets the buster buff, but also crit damage, okay, interesting, why not, cool, like it. Saber crit chance down, alright, and then the MP, which definitely needs a buff, is all I'm gonna say. No other normal effects. MP damage 1 turn before damage for 20% base is alright, but if you have him on lower levels, not Grail, no gold foes, this is a noodle. Even with all of this, like this quick up here, this MP damage here, it's a noodle. He desperately needs an MP buff. And he like, it's a 6 turn cooldown for his absorb as well, so it's not like he's going to be critting often anyway, even if he has great crits, which he definitely does, but and he can't really farm either. I think he's honestly one of the C's as a 5-star. I think. Just kind of all over the place and doesn't really do much at all. I think I placed Altera in C+, right? Who I consider one of the worst SSRs in the game. So, you know, I wouldn't be too mad if he shares the tier, I guess. Because he's certainly probably among the top 5 worst SSRs in the game as well. Too low? Maybe. I don't know. He needs an MP buff so bad, dude. So bad. Alright, fine. I'll put him just above average. Okay. Sure. At least his damage potential can be good, but it's not like it's not going to be super consistent. Okay. Fine. Okay, there you go. Okay. Okay. Someone ban Yol for making me look like a hypocrite. Thank you. Right, alright. Next one. Cool. This is a fun one, isn't it? Alright, I need to hydrate before this. There he is. Very recently returned on JP after a, what, a nearly 3-year hiatus. That's fun. Arjuna Alter. There he is. Alright, AoE Buster, DPS / Farmer. That's what we're looking at. Can do both pretty alright, I would say. Alright, attack is, it's not the highest, but it's alright. Triple Gorilla Buster on the deck. Makes sense looking at his kit later, I suppose. So sure. Gains are not great, but you know, it's not what you're expecting anyway. But at least he has a bit of battery as well to help, I suppose. Right, first skill. A pretty balanced skill, right? So, self-attack up 30% 5 turns is pretty average, but then damage against debuffed enemies 50%. Oh, 3 turns? Oh, that's pretty balanced, right? That's pretty balanced. Yeah, needless to say, probably one of the best offensive skills in the entire game. Especially considering what his MP does, right? So, that's fun. Pretty balanced. Pretty casual. Cool. Do I like him as a character? You think he's personally less lame? I agree. I'm not a big fan of him as a character, but I know most and honestly, you can fight me on this. Most people that like him because he's fucking handsome. I said it, okay? His character is not very fun. It's pretty fucking boring. Alright. Second skill. This is why the triple buster makes a lot of sense, right? 3 turn Buster Absorb, 6k% on a good uptime for 5 turn cooldown and a 30% battery. Another great skill, which makes a lot of sense with everything. Makes his face cards, you know, crit consistently and gets you more MPs, which you want, because, you know, this works with the MP really nicely as well. And it enables your crits to do the same thing, so far, pretty damn good. Yeah, true, Julian. Like, with the 5 turn cooldowns on these, you can, with like a certain Koyanskaya comp, you could probably you could stack these like fun. That's why his numbers on the Buster farming side also are easily the highest, right? Because of the ability to stack a certain broken modifier. Third skill, his defensive skill, I guess. So it's a 1-time guts, 3 turns, 7 turn cooldown. So that alone is worse than average. And then a healing up to 2k every turn, 3 for 3 turns. Honestly, not that good in my opinion. Pretty weak as a defensive skill, especially for an SSR. Is below average, I would say, for an SSR's defensive skill. But at least he has really good offensive stuff, you know? This is not that good, though. Yeah, by far the worst thing about his entire kit. Numbers and everything, this skill right here. Yeah, it's EX rank, though, so it looks nicer. Madness it has been EX. I'm gonna... this is so bullshit. He's totally not about this, but they just wanted to give EX to his everything. This is bullshit. He is not mad at all, right? I mean, he's kind of mad sometimes, but this is like, you have to be like insane fucking mad. This is such bullshit, but hey, it's really good for gameplay, so there you go. I guess his fans are really, you know, they're gonna be happy with this anyway. That is ridiculous. That is total bullshit, though. Anyway, crit chance down against archers, cool. And then the MP is like the most simple MP ever, but because of his numbers and his kits, it's really good actually. So before damage, very importantly before damage, AoE Buster is down for 3 turns by 20% based on the OC. So if if he didn't have this skill, honestly his MP would be kind of a noodle. But who knew that a 50% damage mod is actually kind of a big deal, especially when you can very easily enable it yourself and keep it up like more or less 100% of the time, unless like debuff immune happens or something. But yeah, who knew that was actually a big deal? So yeah, how about that? Yeah, obviously the bane of his existence are debuff immune enemies, that's for sure. But yeah. Yeah, can you skip this, Jags? It's pretty loud. Yeah, what can I say? Despite never having a buff, and probably never will be seeing one either, he's still really good. Like, he's both good on farming and for DPS. He really is. Like, sometimes the farming might be overkill though, but because you do have to actually plug suit if you want to buster farm with him, so he might not always be the best option in case you want a better like party composition for your farming. But if you need the damage, then look no further. He's got the damage. He's gonna be able to do like every 90 plus node ever released, unless they put one that has foreigners in it. But even then, he might still do it anyway, because the damage is kind of off charts by being able to also stack the first skill in that sort of setup. So there you go. There you go, there he is. EX plus, come on. Nah, definitely not. Absolutely not. But yeah, he's really good. Alright, then we go back to Summer, the final summer servant of the Berserkers. A very hot one. In fact, now I'm gonna do it myself, because it's one of my favorite FAs of all time. God, it's still insanely hot. I shouldn't say this because YouTube is gonna demonetize, whatever. Summer Musashi, AoE arts. I want definitely a farmer over DPS, but honestly not terrible as a DPS either, but I would say way more focus on the farming side. 12.7k attack is ridiculous. Can we just talk about that as well? It's not cool alter, but it's very close. It's ridiculous. That is very high on attack as well. Cool. Double arts, double buster makes sense for DPS. For farm obviously irrelevant, but for DPS it makes sense because now she can do some good buster leads, but also a potential brave arts brave chain with her MP as well, which I like. Her gains are honestly not trash for a berserker. Not amazing, but not trash, especially with the skills active. They can actually be pretty damn good even. So yeah, that's surprising for a berserker. Very surprising. Right, the first skill, self-evasion, 1 attack, and then crit damage, 50% for 1 turn. It is on a 4-turn cooldown, but still, I would say a very average skill. A lot of other servants have this skill as well, like Da Vinci, Rider, and Ishtar Summer as well, right? So, it's just okay, nothing really crazy. Then the second skill, another unique skill. So, double arts hits for 1 turn, so... And it's also a normal attack, not the MP. It would be broken if it was the MP. But yeah, her due to arts cards will be 6 hitters now for 1 turn. Which, so yeah, then she's gonna have really nutty gains. Right? And then I guess a bit of damage for them as well for 1 turn. Not bad. I like that. A damage mod is always nice. And then MP generation 3 turns, 50%, which is really what enables her to loop as well as she does, I suppose. So yeah, this is her bread and butter, this skill, basically. This is her existence in this one skill. There you go. Great skill, what can I say? Pretty fair cooldown for DPSing as well, I would say. Probably, yeah. Pretty fair. Third skill, that's a lot of stuff. Okay, first of all, ignore invul for 3 turns on self. Self-attack up 30% for 3 turns. Self-cuts, 1 time, 3 turn on a 6 turn cooldown. Not bad considering there's a lot of effects. 5,000 damage to herself though. You're gonna feel that. Unless you're farming, then you're not. And then AoE defense down 30% for 3 turns. I still think this skill is pretty damn good, honestly. It is a very hefty demerit. That's a big chunk of your HP gone. Luckily, it's not like max HP down or something like that, so you can still heal. But yeah, I still think this skill offers a lot of good stuff. Is good. Even with the big demerit, it's a good skill, I would say. Right, Madness and Asman EX, because, you know, why not? I guess a bit better damage. Not a big deal for her, though. Magic Resist is nice if you're going to bring her as a DPS, which you can. Riding D is pretty irrelevant. And this is also just more tickle. Lancer crit chance down, alright. And then the MP. Not bad, honestly. I like the first effect of the 30% crit chance down for 3 turns. Not even 20, but 30. Not sure what the O seal is about, though. It's kind of weird. So you have a base 100% chance to MP seal sabers for 1 turn. I guess it's her lore thingy, right? Yeah. Not a bad MP though. I do like the normal effect. Sadly, she still, despite what you might think, her damage is not insane by any means. Mostly because of the Berserker class doing 1.5x, if I had to guess. Like, it's kind of crazy when you think about it, because she gets compared to like Spacious Star a lot, right? Because they were like the first big art sloopers that everyone always used constantly when Castoria came out, but ironically, doesn't Spacious Star do better damage without even having like a Berserker bonus? Or was she actually better? But yeah, I think most people would still prefer Space Star, right? Oh yeah, because Spacious Star has better MP gains, right? Yeah, true. True. That was the difference maker. I mean, she's good, for sure. Definitely very good. What do you guys think? For once, I want to ask your opinion. It's definitely between these two, for sure. Mostly farming focus, but not a terrible DPS either. I was thinking A+ myself, honestly. That's what I was always thinking before I made this list, but let's see what you guys think. I see a lot of both, huh? That's a tough one. Okay. Yeah, I feel like MP1 might still not be ideal, honestly, and she's a limited SSR, so... yeah. Yeah, because I am ranking these on MP1, basically. So I feel like based on that, a level 90 MP1 Musashi Berserker, farm-focused, I think I'm gonna drop her an A+. She's still very good. But I wouldn't say she's like top tier or anything like that. So I think this is a pretty fair choice for her. Yeah. I could, honestly, but even if someone wants to place her here, I would be okay with that, honestly. I think I would be okay with that. But I think I just want to place her in A+. Honestly. That's what I'm feeling right now, first and foremost. Yeah. Again, if someone wants to place her here, and I hope I don't get too much shit for this, I'm actually gonna leave her an A+. There you go. Boom. Alright, 2 more to go. We're nearing the end. But Space Star is way more flexible, Jordan, I'm pretty sure. Space Star is just way more flexible than her. But yeah, I mean, Musashi is still very good. Right. Vlad. I was reading chat. Dude. Okay, definitely not Vlad. Oh my god, I saw someone said Vlad in chat. Dude, my brain is dead after talking for over 3 hours. Oh my, that was a real Pepega moment. I was like, pause. Yeah, Vlad. Okay. Wow, Vlad looks sexier suddenly. Okay, nice pads. Anyway, yeah, I mean, there will be a Vlad comparison here because they're very similar. But yeah, Galatea, right? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, here we go. So another single target arts DPS. But unlike Vlad, she goes full on gorilla deck mode, which honestly, I don't like too much. I would like her to be double arts, double buster as well, much like Vlad. Attack also, it's just lower than him, but they're basically equal when you think about it. But not great, not terrible, just average-ish. So yeah, what do we got for Galatea? Meanwhile, they have fairly different kits though, regarding, even if they're somewhat similar. So self arts and buster up for 3 turns, 30% 6-turn cooldown, not bad. I wish it was 5, but oh well. Buff removal resistance 1 time 3 turns, obviously goes up to 100%. Love that. And a 20% battery. I guess it makes sense that it's a 6-turn cooldown with the addition of those. So you know what? Yeah. Not bad. Not too bad. Self guts 1 time 3 turns on a 6-turn cooldown. But also self defense up to 100% for 2 times 3 turns. So yeah, you can actually tank an MP kinda, which is really cool. Really cool. You might not need to add a bit more to this, because obviously you're still going to take, you know, good damage. But yeah, it's a fun little skill, isn't it? It's really fun. Like, it's not even a damage cut, it's just full on defense up. So yeah, those pants are made out of, who knows, man. They're concrete or something. Fun skill. Actually pretty damn good. And then the third skill, which they did buff luckily, which is cool, which helps with the problem of the her not having arts cards as well, I suppose. So first of all, regeneration buff for 3 turns. What does that do? Well, every turn party gets 2k healing. Also, party gets their debuffs removed. That's really nice utility actually. And then now with the buff you get up to 10% MP gauge when you attack with your buster cards. It is a 7-turn cooldown though, so while it does help with her deck being a bit awkward, it's gonna be down more than it's gonna be up. But hey, it's a great skill for sure. I love the utility, and this definitely is kind of a, you know, makes this situation less awkward. And yes, this is all debuffs. It's a party-wide full cleanse every turn for 3 turns, so yeah. She's like a cleanse goddess, basically, so, yeah. Very cool. Madness Enhancement EX. Well, I guess this is the one silver lining she has when it comes to the triple buster, I suppose, so there you go. Magic Resist B is nice to have as a bonus. Assassin crit chance down is alright. And then the MP. I do like that it's a guaranteed gauge down. Always like that effect. And MP damage 3 turns before damage 20%. Also a pretty solid OC. Yeah, there you go. Oof. Yeah, I guess that's worth noting, Emo Arts, that the cleanse and the heal are after the player's turn. So yeah, kind of annoying, but whatever, it's still good. She's great, but I still don't think she's quite as good as Vlad after they fixed his MP. If they ever buff her MP, she's definitely here. Definitely. But I still think Vlad is just a bit better now. I do think Vlad is better. But she's still very viable. Absolutely. And in some cases, she might be even better. Especially if there's like a very heavy emphasis on debuffs, absolutely I would pick Galatea over Vlad for sure. But in a lot of cases, you might not need that. So otherwise, I would probably just pick Vlad instead. So it depends on the scenario. She could be better. But in most cases, I think Vlad is just better. Because they fixed his MP. Which is great. So if they ever puff Galatea's MP, she's right up there as well. Very cool. Why Berserker EX Plus? Because he's the best anchor in the game and you can literally put him in 99% of your teams. He's gonna improve 99% of your challenge quest teams. That's it. Easy justification. Alright. Here's the thing that I think a lot of people have been waiting about as well. We got Morgan. Okay. So another AoE buster, DPS, and a farmer. Much like Yeah, boy, Arjuna Alter, and obviously there will be comparisons made a lot, huh? Attack is also very high, like that, 12.2k more or less. Good. Double Buster, double Arts. I almost would have preferred triple Buster on her, I'm not gonna lie. Because even with her own MP gain active and whatnot, her gains are still not that great from experience. They're still just okay, I would say. So I honestly, especially because she has crit focus on her kit too, I actually would have preferred triple Buster personally. But it's not like it's a massive issue or anything like that. Anyway, the skills. This is where she kind of really shines, if anything. So, it's a different version of the Castoria thingy. So, it's a party attack up 20%, 3 turns, self-battery 30%, and AoE defense down 30% for 3 turns on a 6-turn cooldown. Yeah, that's just a really great skill. Just a really great skill. Not much to say about it. It just works every time. Then the same skill that Castoria has, I guess. So, you know, target gets 20% battery and everyone in your party gets 25% MP generation for 3 turns and a 5-turn cooldown. Another solid skill. Just really good. How about that? So she can get 50% battery herself from 2 different skills, which is very noteworthy. Enables her to do a lot of good farming as well. Then the third skill, man, oh my. Okay, so let's break this down. Self one-time guts, 3 turns on a 7-turn cooldown. So that is not that great, to be honest. It is a 3k guts though, but the uptime is sadly not that great. But, you know, it has a lot of other stuff, so it can be excused. Self-absorb, 5k for 3 turns. Great, she's gonna get those stars. Crit damage, 30% 3 turns. Not the biggest, but, you know, this skill does a lot, so again, makes sense. And then gets a regen buff like Galate, I guess, but this does different stuff. So for every turn, you reduce the enemy's attack and crit chance by 20% for 1 turn, every turn for 3 turns. So they don't stack because it's a 1-turn debuff, but every turn for the 3 turns, his active enemies will have minus 20% attack and crit chance. And because you need more, it's also a 15-star bomb. It is a pretty massive cooldown, so this does tamper with her crit potential a little bit. Is not as good of an uptime as like Arjuna Alter, for instance. But it's just it's definitely an EX tier skill, regardless. But her crit potential is not as good as Arjuna Alter because of this, but still an absolutely broken skill by every sense of the word. Just ridiculous. So much in one. It's like this is more than some servant's entire kit. How stupid is that? This is some modern design. God damn. Anyway, because you know the skills weren't amazing, we need to have good passives as well. So Madness Enhancement B could be higher, but at least she has it. Magic Rese, love it. Debuff success rate up, making this land even easier, love it. Arts buff, because you know gotta make these better as well, cool. And then crit resistance 20%, just flat out, because yeah, same as Castoria, I guess. Yeah, makes sense. God damn it, dude, that's a great passive. Like, what are these passives, man? Stupid stuff is what it is. Saber crit chance down, and then the MP. Okay, another thing to break down again. So self damage mod 50% to either Round Table Knights or Fae. You don't get individual ones, so even if someone is both, you don't get both of the you don't get 100% rights. But I guess there's a bit more target options because it's 2 of them. But yeah, you don't get like double 50%. So yeah, if enemy has those are not the most common traits, but even some normal enemies can have the Fey trait, as seen in right now in JP Lottery, where you can kill the Spriggan who actually has the Fey trait, right? So it can be on normal enemies as well, I suppose, for what it's worth. Curse, no one cares, but Party OC 1 time 3 turns is really good, especially because your supports are gonna love it. And sometimes she's gonna love it a lot too, because her extra damage is man attribute modifiers. So yeah, that's a pretty stacked MP too, huh? Yeah. Her damage potential for the MP is not as high as Arjuna Alter because of his stupid modifier being easily enabled, but like, this is the age-old discussion, just because there's always going to be a war between these two, right? And I did think about this, but I will place them in the same tier. I will. I know a lot of people want to see Morgan in A+, but I will place them in the same tier. I thought about this a lot. I did like 2 hours of discussion about this yesterday. This is what I decided on. She's obviously amazing as well, but they will be both EX in my book. That is what it is. In terms of farming, here's the difference, at least in case you're curious. Arjuna Alter, or DPS rather. Like Arjuna Alter does way more damage. Or farming, yeah, just farming. He does more damage, but Morgan has an easier time of actually, you know, making the Buster loop work. So sometimes you might be enough damage anyway. But it's again, it depends on what you need, right? So yeah. Yeah. I know a lot of people might disagree with this, but I decided on this yesterday already. This was the biggest. These two, man, caused me so much brain headache. Like, I can't do it, dude. Oh, did I say a lot of people wanted to see Morgan in A+? Oh shit, I meant EX+, obviously. Whoops. Dude, my brain is dying. So there you go. This is final for me. At least these two. We might do a bit of placement changing here, but these two are final in my list. And yeah. I hope the comments won't be super brutal, but I believe you me, I did a lot of mental gymnastics with these two, goddamn. In fact, I kind of hate them now because of how much they made my brain hurt. So, yeah. So, speaking of which, before we have the final rankings shown, should we adjust anything? I'm honestly pretty happy with this. I feel pretty confident with most of this, but what do you guys think? Is like anyone getting shafted or something? Let's hopefully get objective opinions and not biased ones. Oh, 5 stars are an EX+. So what? Most classes don't have an EX+ at all in 5-star. Hell, any rarities. It's for the exceptional of the exceptional in what they do. Oh yeah, my chart looks like a middle finger. You're right. It looks like a middle finger. God damn. Okay. Not intentional though. I don't think I can place the Alter in A+, no. I think she's fine in A. Anything else? Anything else? You could maybe justify Hijikata in A+, but I'll go with A. I don't want to seem too biased or anything either, honestly. Maybe a bit too inconsistent sometimes. Honestly, I might be willing to bump Nobu here, actually, now that you guys said that, because Divine is actually a fairly common trait. I think this might be actually possible for me to do. This might be possible. Divine is actually a fairly common trait among bosses. Now it looks more like a middle finger as well. Okay. You probably place Nightingale in B instead of B+. I might agree with that, honestly. Are people going to be mad if I slide down Nightingale? Like, sure, she's fine, but is there, like, ever a case where, like, oh, now Nightingale is great, besides that Kiara example I did? I mean, she's still above average tier, but, yeah. Yeah. I don't think I want to slide her down to B. Hijikata does more damage with no needs and now can sustain his gimmick. I agree to an extent though, yeah, actually. I honestly, I'm ever so closer putting Hijikata to A+ as well. Because he's even better with, you know, the current Buster supports as well. Making his crits really fucking nasty as well. And he's so much easier to keep alive now as well. Fuck it, dude. Middle finger, I cut the nail from it and I'm gonna put it here instead. There you go. The nail has been cut. So you're saying Musashi should be an EX, is what you're saying, Yuri, right? That's what you're saying? I assume. I mean, I have farmed with her as well, to be honest, and I know it's pretty good. It's like so close, dude. I don't know what to do here. Can I make an A++? I want to make an A++. I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can do it, the EX. Okay, I'll do it. I'll fucking do it. I'll do the A++. I can't do the EX though. I just can't. Okay. Another one of these. It's not triple plus this time because no King Hassan, but there you go. Give it a nice color as well. Do I even have any colors left? I don't know. No, that's used. That's used. Everything is used. Damn you. The color doesn't matter. No one cares. Okay. No, that's the same as the highest one. Great. Okay. Now people want to see others there as well. No. Okay, I'm gonna keep the others on A+ that are A+. The only reason I made that because I think Musashi is so close to EX, but I just can't do it. So that's the only reason why it's there. Others will stay at A+, in my opinion. Yeah. I'm gonna keep the others on A+. It's E+ color. Okay, let me make this a bit darker then. There we go. Okay. Why Darius is higher than Kiyo? Both are pretty much interchangeable. Darius does way more damage and does not have shitty dots. And he also has a nice guts buff now. I'm not sure if you saw that skill buff. I would pick Darius every time over Kiyo. No joke. Every single time. Nightingale. You know what? I might agree to that as well. This is the most changes I've ever done. But yeah, it would be kind of dirty if Xiang Yu was in the same tier as Nightingale, right? So you know what? He actually goes on the Alter tier, which probably makes more sense to begin with anyway, right? Probably. Because that's like my bottom of the barrel SSR tier, C+. No more middle finger. Well, it was there for a second. Okay. I think now I might be all pretty happy with this list. Yeah. Yeah. Upgrade Asterios to be. I like him there, honestly. He can do different things, but he's never gonna be like really good on any of them. Kiyo to EX. Yeah, that's pretty fair, right? You think Fran and Cat should be same tier because at least Fran has the looping option? It's not a pretty one though, but you know what? Okay, fair enough. Just because she can do it and Cat cannot do it, but she's a better DPS, so I guess they kind of break even, right? Yeah, I guess they do kind of break even. People really want to see Galatea and A++, huh? You guys think she's like literally that, like an inch above or below EX? Maybe it does make sense, yeah. Maybe it does, actually. Alright, fair enough. It actually matches her color, too. That's not the reason I did it, but, yeah, there you go. I think now I'm good. I think now I'm good. I think now we're good. That was actually a lot of I've never done this much adjustment at the end. No, Etchan will stay at A+, for sure. This is it. This is it. I will now not look at chat for the suggestions anymore, and this is it. This is the final. So if you skipped here in the video as well, yeah, things some things definitely got a bit different at the end, but yeah, I'm now happy with this. There you go. Boom. Very, very cool. So that's it for the angry people. Please do not be super crazy attackive in the comments. Just please try to keep it civil and all that. This is just my silly opinion. It doesn't really matter too much at the end of the day, right? So yeah. Whew. This took a bit longer than I thought, but hey, I'm happy with it. And if you enjoyed this again, just do me a solid and press the like button. Really helps out. We are almost at the end. I still don't know what I'm gonna do with the extra one. It might be split, honestly, because there's so much to talk about for most of them, but we'll see. Everyone will happen at least, so don't worry about it. And subscribe for more. Don't miss out on future uploads, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. A peace out.